Welcome. Please, can you use your chat box to introduce yourself, please? I can see some names I recognize from Instagram. Some of you have messaged me. Can you just use the chat box to please introduce yourself, where you're dialing in from, when you're getting married? I'd love to know who's dialing in. I'm gonna say hi. So hi, Aisha. Hello. Hi, Brianna. Hi, Sheriff. Hi, Faith. Hi, Latoya. Hello. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're just gonna wait for a couple of people to start. I'm just gonna give you 5 minutes. While we're waiting, please feel free to get a cup of coffee or tea or water or anything. Get comfortable. So Sherith, you're dialing in from Lekki. I love that. I lived in Lekki 13 years ago, so I love that. And you're getting married February 2021. Amazing, amazing. I love it. Yeah, we've got, okay. So something important to note, when you're using the chat box, you can either send it to all panelists or all panelists and attendees. Please, if it's something related to just the panelists, then send it to us. But when you're introducing yourself, please click the option to send it to all panelists and all attendees. Oh, we've got 18 people. Hi. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Bridal Brunch Summit 2020. Welcome. I'm just gonna wait a couple of minutes for people to join and then we'll kick it off. We've got all our speakers here waiting. So please use the chat box to introduce yourself, tell us where you're dialing in from and when you're getting married. Please use the option to send to all panelists and attendees so fellow brides can see if you're getting married in the same month or the same year. Oh, Sherith, we're excited to have you. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. Oh, the numbers are going up. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. This is the Bridal Brunch Summit 2020. I feel like I'm on the radio or something, but welcome. So excited to have you. Hi, Shiv. So you're watching from Essex. Amazing, not too far from me. Your civil ceremony is August 28th and your white wedding is 30th of April. Amazing. Hi, Kate. You're dialing in from London. You're near me as well. Oh, I'm excited to have you guys. Thank you, thank you. Please remember when you're using the chat box, please send to all panelists and all attendees. There are 2 drop-down options so everyone can see your chat. So we're gonna start in 3 minutes. I'm just waiting for a couple of people to join. We've got more than half of the people registered aren't here yet, so I know some people might be running late. Okay, so Brianna says she's dialing in from Maryland. Amazing. My Nigerian American dream wedding is 26th of November, 2021. I love that. Amazing. What time is it over there? Thank you so much for joining. Thank you. It's probably so early. Thank you. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Your panelists are all here at the moment. Hi, Ola from Nigeria. Your wedding is December 12th, 2020. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ola. Welcome. And Shanique from London, wedding is 21st of May in Jamaica. Amazing. Amazing. Destination wedding. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. And we've got Ajibola, who is dialing in from Essex. Amazing. Hi, Magali. Hi, Elsie. Hi, Elsie. Thank you. I can't hear you, Magali, at the moment. Do you want to mute yourself just so I can just make sure?
Yeah, hi.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Welcome. So you can mute yourself. Okay. All right. So I'm just going to give a couple more minutes Just want to be 5:05. Welcome. Please keep introducing yourself. I love seeing when you're getting married and where you're based. I love this. Please remember when you're using the chat box to please send the options to participants and all attendees so everyone can see your comments. So Ene, you are from North Carolina. Amazing. Your trad is 3rd of June 2021 and your white is 5th of June 2021. I love this. So we have a mix. We have an equal, we have some 2020 brides and 2021 brides. This is amazing. I love this. Welcome, Ene. Nice to have you. Let's see, I hope I'm not missed anyone. I love this. Please keep saying where you're dialing in from. At some point, I will give a couple of brides the options to put on their video and say hi to the panelists and ask their questions. So while we're about to start, if you want to make yourself more decent, for example, if you're still in PJs, please do that. And yeah, and you use the raise hand feature and I will let you come on and ask the panelists some questions. Okay, so Adiat is dialing in from Lagos and, oh, slow down. And your wedding is January 2021. I love it. I love it. Welcome, Adiat. Hi, Shanique. Hi. You came earlier. Hi. Hi, Nicole. So, Nicole, you're dialing in from London and your wedding is April 2021. Amazing. I love that. Amazing. So, welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Bridal Brunch Summit 2020. So good to have you here. So good to have you here. Just going through the comments now. So we're just going to give it one more minute and we are going to start. Hi, Nene. Hi, dialing in from Abuja. Oh, so happy to have you. Amazing. Amazing. I'm going to stop rolling around in this chair now. I'm so excited to have you all. This is such a dream come true for me to reach all the brides from all over. So thank you so much for dialing in. I'm just going to give it one more minute as the attendees go up because I know quite a few people, about 20 plus, have not joined. They might be a bit late. And then we are going to start. I am really, really excited. It's going to be amazing. Please have your questions ready. Please either open the notes on your phone or if you have a notepad and you're old fashioned like me and you like to jot it down, it's going to be very value packed. So much information. Hi, Dami. So you're dialing in from Abuja and your wedding is April 2021. Amazing. We've got a couple of April 2021 brides here. Amazing. Nice. Welcome, Dami. Nice to have you. So please, guys, can you please, when you're chatting, please use the option to send to all participants and all attendees so that everyone can see your comments, because at the moment it's just panelists seeing your comments. Okay, so I think I'm gonna start. I'll keep walking. So I'm just gonna start quickly. Let me get my notes up. So good to have you guys here. All right, welcome everyone to the Bridal Brunch Summit 2020. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here today. You're here because you want to take your wedding planning to the next level. You're here because, sorry, I'm hearing myself. Can all the panelists mute themselves, please? Oh, hi, Magali. Okay. Yeah, I noticed you switched. Okay, so welcome to the Bridal Brunch Summit 2020. As I was saying, you are here because you want to know how to plan your dream wedding post-COVID. We're in uncertain times right now. A lot of you have probably postponed your wedding already. Hopefully no one has canceled the wedding. And you're here to get information on, what the best decisions to make, and yes, you're in the right place today. All the panelists are going to give so much information today. So please have your pen and paper ready or have your notes ready. So happy to have you here. I am going to start now and I'm going to quickly share a presentation. All right, so yes, welcome again to the Bridal Brunch Summit 2020. This is being hosted by Get Wedding Ready. You are at the 4th Bridal Brunch Summit. The other 3 have been in London. And this year we decided to take it globally so that everyone can experience this. So thank you once again for joining. I really, really appreciate it. Couple of house rules. I will be repeating this throughout the event. Apologies just for people who are joining in a bit later. but please use the chat box to comment, introduce yourself, where you're dialing in from, when your wedding is, and I will be reading it out, engaging with you. Please use the Q&A box if you have a question to ask. I've got 4 admin staff who will be helping with the questions, so please put your questions in the Q&A box, because if it's in the chat box, we might miss it, okay? So this is me. My name is Wara Manola, and I'm the founder of Get Wedding Ready. I'll be your host for this event, and I'll introduce Get Wedding Ready as we go along. So this is the agenda for today. It's a 2-hour, 30-minute session, and it's going to be broken into 2 panel sessions. So first of all, I'm going to go through a couple of rules, and then I'm going to go through the Get Wedding Ready intro. So just to let you know a little bit about Get Wedding Ready. Also, next we're going to have the wedding professional panel session, and this is going to be about how to plan your dream wedding post-COVID. After this session, we're going to have a Q&A. So this session is a panel session, meaning I'm going to ask the panelists a couple of questions. And then when we're done with that, you have 15 minutes that's going to be open to the floor for you to ask your questions. I will be taking 2 or 3 brides who wish to come on video to introduce themselves and ask the panelists some questions. So if you want to, when we get to that stage, please use the raise your hand feature, which I'll come to later. We also have the former brides panel session, which is more on wedding planning and marriage. So tips, advice, and learnings, all from a former bride's perspective. Then we have another 15 minutes Q&A for this session, and we bring this event to a close. So it's going to be quite, well, not too short, but short and sweet, very value packed. So yes, I'm really, really excited. So I want to say a huge thank you to our media partners who have been the media partners for this event and who have helped us promote this event and back this event up. The first we have is Always Starts With, and they are a multi-platinum media company with an interest in Black and ethnic minorities and diaspora. They have a platform of over 1 million followers, and their mission is to connect, entertain, educate, inspire their audience. They offer a wide range of products, including brand management, marketing, PR, and advertising. So if you want to follow them, please follow them at Always Start With on Instagram. Next, we have Bella Naija Weddings. They are Africa's biggest weddings platform. They curate the best of African weddings, bridal and honeymoon inspiration to the rest of the world. With a growing following of over 4.5 million followers, Bella Naija Weddings is your one-stop for all things authentic African bridal inspirations. If you want to follow Bella Naija Weddings, please do at Bella Naija Weddings. Next, we have lovely Love Weddings NG, of which the founder is one of the speakers, Shei Ayenla, if you give a wave. Love Weddings NG is an African wedding website that provides the tools and ideas to enable prospective couples to gain inspiration for their big day. Also, they work with wedding vendors / suppliers. They help them to connect them to their next couple or clients, and they feature extensive wedding directory, articles, tips, and so much more on weddings. So please follow Love Weddings at Love Weddings NG, that's November George, on Instagram. So thank you. Next, I just want to highlight a couple of brunch rules. So the first one being, please use the chat box to comment. So as you've been commenting, introduce yourself. Please let me know where you're dialing in from, when your wedding is. We've seen a couple of April 2021 brides. We've seen December 2020 brides. We've seen January 2021 brides. We have people dialing in from the US, from the UK, you know, from Nigeria at the moment. So we've got quite a diverse crowd. Next, and when you're chatting, please, there are 2 options. One is to send to all panelists. The other is to send to attendees and panelists. Please make sure you click to send to attendees and panelists when you're chatting so everyone can see your comments. And fellow brides can reach out if you're in the same country or state, for example, and you're getting married around the same time. Please use the Q&A box to ask questions. So please don't put questions in the chat box, use the Q&A so we don't miss it. Because if you put the questions in the chat box, then I wouldn't be able to see it because a lot of people will be commenting. So a couple of things, if you're dialing in from a desktop, your chat box, your Q&A, your raise your hand features are on the bottom part of your Zoom application or the web browser. Sorry, can you unmute yourself, please? I just heard myself. Okay. And then if you're dialing in from a mobile phone, it's either at the bottom or at the top. You need to look out for the dots that says more. Click on it, says more, and then you can chat. So if you can play around with the features, you'd find the chat box, you'd find the Q&A box, and the raise hand feature. These are the three things that you'll be using on this webinar. Next, if you feel free to screenshot. These slides are put together for the brunch. There's no sensitive information on these slides. So if you want to screenshot and put on Instagram or Twitter to let people know you're at the Bridal Brunch Summit, please by all means do so. Use the hashtag Bridal Brunch Summit on all social media platforms, and my team would be resharing all your. Can you mute yourself, please? Mute myself. All right, sorry about that. So please make sure you use the hashtag Bridal Brunch Summit on social media. And I'll encourage everyone to please use screenshots, take pictures of the panelists, of the session. If there's anything that's, amazing that has been said, inspirational, has really touched you, please tweet it, please screenshot it, please share it on Instagram to your stories or your profile and use the hashtag, and we will be retweeting, we will be resharing as well as we go along. You can please start Get Wedding Ready as well. Use the raise hand feature if you would like to come on video to ask a question. So I said earlier on that I would be allowing 2 or 3 brides to come on video to introduce themselves to the panelists and ask a couple of questions or the question they have. So if you want to do that, just make sure you're decent. If you have your hair bonnet, you can take that off, and just make sure that your camera is clear. Last but not least, this event is being recorded. So a couple of you have the recording package. This will be sent to you tomorrow. If you do want a recording of this event, please email hello@getweddingready.co.uk. So please take a picture or screenshot this. I would say this as we go along. Well, that's a lot to go through. That wasn't 2 rules. I don't like the rules. It's a brunch. Okay, next, moving on. All right, so just quickly go through Get Wedding Ready. I do this at all my brunches just so the brides can connect with me and know whose brunch they're at. So as again, my name is Mura Manola. I'm the founder of Get Wedding Ready. And yes, this is me in 2015 when I got married. This is 5 years now. So I've been in the industry for 7 years. I started my wedding planning company in 2014. And I already had a lot of resources before I planned my wedding. But while I was planning my wedding, I noticed that at that time, 5 years ago, there wasn't a lot of inspiration. There wasn't a lot of information out there on wedding planning. The wedding planners, as they are now, we're not putting out a lot of tips, tricks, and advice. You had to book a planner to get all of that. So what I did was I started blogging about my wedding planning experience in 2015. And in 2016, I split my brands. So my Manola Lux Weddings became my wedding planning company full on. And then I started blogging on Get Wedding Ready. And while I was blogging, I wanted to reach a larger audience. I wanted to reach brides from all over the world. So I started my YouTube channel in 2016. And my YouTube channel has grown to almost 10,000 subscribers. We're viewed in almost 40 countries. And we have almost 700,000 views at the moment on the channel. So we feature a lot of wedding planning tips, wedding planning advice, etc. And then fast forward to a year later in 2017, I wanted more. I wanted to meet these brides. I wanted to hug them. I wanted to, hear from them. So I founded the Bridal Brunch. I realized that a lot of wedding fairs were too tradey. It was more of like meeting vendors and, getting their services. There wasn't that much of an intimacy when it comes to getting wedding tips. So I founded the first Bridal Brunch of its kind in London. And we had an amazing time. It's an intimate event. We have 30 brides, we have speakers, we have cocktails, we have food and music. And we usually are hosted in a 5-star hotel in London. So it's always amazing. And yes, due to COVID and everything that's happened this year, we couldn't have the Bridal Brunch that we would have in London. And what me and my team decided to do was not only have it virtually for the UK, we decided to bring it globally. So yes, you're at the 4th Bridal Brunch, which is the Bridal Brunch Summit. So yeah, you're part of history. So I'm just going to move on. Okay, so we're almost at our panel session. These are your lovely speakers today. Please say hi. So they're going to introduce themselves. And give me 1 second. So I just get my questions up. So these are your lovely speakers for today. They're going to come on and introduce themselves. If the slides are a bit wonky, apologies for that. I'm using a larger screen at the moment. So if you're seeing any text underneath, apologies for that. So I'm going to ask the speakers to introduce themselves one by one, and we're going to go straight into the panel session. But before we start, please, please, please keep engaging in comment section. If you have any questions, use the Q&A box. Don't put it in the chat box. And yeah, so we're going to start. Let me quickly. So can we start with you, Chioma? Can you please introduce yourself?
Sure. Hey, ladies, how are y'all doing? My name is Chioma Dure Johnson. Oh, can y'all hear me? Okay, sorry,
Yes.
something happened. Okay, there we go. All right. I'm so excited to be here. Chioma, most of my brides call me Chi. Been in the business now for about 13, heading to 14 years. And it's been a very, very amazing journey. It's been, has this interesting storylines and etc. that comes along with the territory. But I can say that I've had the most amazing clients and wedding and event experiences. So I'm excited to be here and definitely honored to be speaking right alongside these amazing ladies here. Of course, we have our legend Funke Bucknor here. Boom! So I'm excited to be here. Thank you so much, Wara, for doing this. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Just wanted to quickly just say hi.
All right. Thank you so much, Chioma. So next, I'm going to get Funke to please come on and introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. Hi. My name is Funke Bucknor Brute, founder, CEO of Zafai Events, the Event Experience Africa, author of the Essential Bridal Handbook. It's a pleasure to be here. I've been running Zafai Events for 18 years now. We're 18 years this year. And I'm just so excited to be able to be on this platform, share knowledge, learn from my fellow speakers, and just generally, be able to give you some form of hope and some tips and ideas on how to plan your wedding and your event during this period and after this period. So it's such a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much, Funke. So now I'm going to go to Shay Ayinla. Please, can you introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. My name is Shay, and I'm the founder of Love Weddings NG, which is a wedding website tailored for African brides and African vendors as well. So for me, it's really just trying to make sure that African brides don't feel left out. Wedding planning is stressful, as we all know. It can be a lot as well, especially with the African element. You're working with probably hundreds of vendors. So we try to make sure that you're working with, ideal vendors by providing you a directory where you can choose what we think is the best. But we also work with vendors, we work with brides, and it's really just making sure you have all the inspiration that you need to have the very best day. But for us, it's really making sure that your wedding is yours. I'm a huge fan of individual weddings. I don't think that no two weddings are the same in my mind. So I'm just here to kind of talk to you about maybe trends and things that you should look out for. And I agree with Funke, there is hope. I know COVID has come, to shake things up, but there's hope. There's light at the end of this tunnel. So hi.
Amazing, amazing. I love that. Thank you so much, Shay. Next, can we have Precious? Please, can you introduce yourself?
Afternoon, everybody. Hi, I'm Precious, known as Precious the Planner. I'm founder of Precious Celebrations, based in Johannesburg, South Africa, specializing in luxury weddings and event design. Also founder of Bloomsburg Precious, which does floral bouquets for gifting, and I've been in the industry for 10 years. And I love weddings. That's what I do. And yeah, it's one of my passions. So.
All right, thank you. Sorry, I just want to ask the panelists, you broke up for a bit. Did everyone hear you? Can you nod if you heard Precious? No. So Precious, sorry, can you repeat yourself? Sorry, you broke up. Yeah, it was breaking.
Oh my goodness. I hope my Wi-Fi is, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Can you hear me now? Okay. Okay, let me start again. I'm Precious, known as Precious the Planner. I'm based in Johannesburg, South Africa. I'm a wedding planner and event designer, founder of Precious Celebrations, and I've been in the industry for almost 10 years. And I live, breathe, and sleep weddings. I make wedding dreams come true, also do private celebrations as well, but we specialize in weddings, yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Sorry, I don't know what happened there.
No, that's fine. Thank you so much. And next we have Magali. Please, can you introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Magali Donkru. I am the founder and CEO of La Jet Fête Limited. We're based in London, that's where our head office is, but we have offices in France, Marrakesh and Moscow. And we specialize in destination weddings. Creating unforgettable experiences around the world is really what we love to do. And we do, as well as destination weddings, we do as well a number of private events as well, just around the world. So our job is very fun, not really fun in this period, but usually it's full of fun.
Okay, thank you so much, Magali. And next, can we have Funmi?
Hi guys, my name's Funke Olayo. So I'm based in Abu Dhabi. Some of you may or may not know where Abu Dhabi is. It's just down the road from Dubai. So we specialize in Nigerian destination weddings in the UAE. But we also do weddings all over the world. So we've had weddings in Seychelles, we've had weddings in Thailand, Nigeria. We've done some in the UK as well. So we're not just limited to the UAE. Again, you know, we specialize in quite small weddings as well as larger weddings, because you find a lot of the time people, you know, want to get away from Nigeria because you have the large weddings. So we're quite good at, you know, having that in between in terms of the UAE, having that destination wedding. Everyone loves Dubai. You know, it's easy access for Nigerians from Nigeria, Nigerians from the UK and the US. So that's our main specialty. But as I said, we do other weddings as well. And we also do, you know, corporate events, but weddings are our thing. We love weddings. I've been doing it for about 5 years now. And it's just great meeting people and, you know, people flying over here and just having an amazing time. So yeah, I'm looking forward to answering any kind of destination wedding questions, UAE specific questions. So I look forward to it.
Amazing. Thank you all. So thank you all for joining. A couple of you I can see have joined. Yes, thank you. Welcome. So please introduce yourself, where you're dialing in from, when you're getting married, so that and then you have the option to send to all panelists or panelists and attendees. Please send to panelists and attendees so that everyone can read your comments. So I'm just going to shout out a couple of people. So Mayowa is dialing in from London. She's excited to receive advice from experts, and she's getting married in February 2021. We have a couple of February 2021 brides. Hi, we've got Terera here. Looking forward to getting married in April 2021. Hopefully Corona is a distant memory. Amen to that. Let us know where you're dialing in from, Terera. And then we've got Damilola, who was supposed to get married April 2020, but Corona happened, and she's hoping to learn more about the success of her new postponed wedding. Amazing. Welcome, Dami. We're lovely to have you here. We've got Ikeolua, who's from Nigeria, and your wedding is in December, by God's grace. Yes, it's a pleasure to be here. Amazing. Thank you so much. And then, yeah, thank you so much. Please keep, oh, hi, Onyechi from Nigeria. Thank you. So please keep commenting. Miriam is dialing in from Manchester, UK, getting married in 2021 by God's grace. We love that. Welcome. Welcome, our northern sister. And then we've got Abby. Abby, you're dialing in from the UK and you're a 2021 bride. Welcome. So nice to meet you. Please remember to keep chatting, keep commenting in the chat box. Anything that, you know, is inspirational, that hits home to you, please chat, and the panelists will be engaging as well. When they're not answering questions, they'll be chatting back with you. If you want to ask any question, please use the Q&A box, because we will not be able to track the questions as well as comments if they're in the comments box. All right, so let's get straight into the panel session. Oh, one more person. We've got Dean here. So Dean is getting married in Portugal in April 2021. Amazing, amazing. We love destination weddings. Amazing. All right, so we're gonna go straight to the panel session, and we're gonna start with the current climate of weddings. So all the panelists are based in different countries at the moment. So first of all, I'd like to understand, what are the wedding guidelines for weddings where you are based? And I'm gonna start with Chioma.
Sorry, I had to mute myself there. Well, hello again, everybody. I'm so excited to be here. So just jumping right straight into it. The rules that we now have here in the States, predominantly in Texas, the number one thing is that we're not allowed to have any weddings or events, anything more than, am I echoing back?
I feel like someone else is. I'm gonna mute myself.
Okay. Oh, that's why, girl. All right. So the rules are that we are not allowed to have any weddings or events, anything over 100 guests. The maximum capacity for any space is between 25 to about 50%. And the rules are we have to have about between 6 foot apart to about 12 feet. And if you have to host an event over 100 guests, even if the venue space can hold 1,000 people, meaning that you can have 500 people. But if you have to have events over 100 guests, you actually have to report it to the state. So you have to get like permits. The fire marshal has to come on site and monitor every single thing. You actually also have to pay for that permit if the city or the state does approve it. So every district, every state have their own rules. The catering department has gotten extremely strict because there's shortage in food. Thanks to the COVID, et cetera, and the way that they manage meat, anything that cross-contaminates. So one of the major rules are buffets are no longer allowed to do because people are talking over the food and et cetera. So it's plated dinner, has sanitizing stations, food has to be covered, one staff assigned to each table. So the cost of labor is actually higher than you would when you are actually hosting a buffet. Every single staff has to be tested every week before the event and also after the event. It is now required that the venue space must be sanitized, properly sanitized. So there's a lot going on nowadays. And of course, hybrid weddings, hybrid events are now in, where you have some guests that are virtual and then also you have some guests that are there physically. So those are some of the major changes when it comes down to events. So of course, you have to put on a mask. Some venues allow you to dance, some don't allow you to dance, and of course a high demand for intimate weddings. It's just been pretty high, but yeah, but I'm not, to be honest with you, I believe that things are gonna kind of get normalized if the particular city or state can control the spread of the COVID by quarantining themselves whenever they travel, and by locking down temporarily, things are able to kind of normalize a little bit. That way everybody can have their lives back. But one thing I do know for sure, that hybrid weddings are not going anywhere. There's a great chance that mask is not going anywhere, but you do potentially by 2021, you have the choice of providing masks for your guests or not. And possibly, being able to communicate with each other by wearing like wristbands or any kind of tag that lets you communicate with your guests back and forth. When I come close to me, I'm okay, or don't come close to me at all. So those are just real quick of things that are happening now, but it's gonna get better.
All right, thank you so much for that, Choma. Very extensive, I love that. Next, Funke, can you let us know what the wedding guidelines are where you are based?
In Nigeria. Well, at the moment, we actually don't even have wedding guidelines. The government hasn't come out to tell us that weddings can happen. They've only said to us, you can have gatherings of 20 people. This was actually for funerals, but people are, and then also because we're in different states, so the Lagos state, you can only have an event of just 20 people in a space. Event centers are not opened at all. You can only have events in your house or in your own environment. There are a lot of course, virtual events happening at the moment, intimate events, 20 people, and then it's because of course it's hybrid. So we have that. But the events industry as a whole has come to put guidelines in place for ourselves until the government is ready to open up. So of course, with things like capacities of our venues being at half capacity instead of the normal 100%, we're now saying, you look, at least 50%. The seating would be, instead of 10 people on a table, we'll have about 5 people on a table, so we can maintain the 2 meters social distancing. There's a lot of when you're coming into a venue, people are, washing their hands and giving people face masks, and we're checking the temperature of people. There's a lot of people doing a lot of sending prepackaged food to people, because at this event you can't really eat, you can't really serve food, because the government has not really opened up for us to start planning full-fledged events. So we're still waiting. We've actually sent in our application. We've had several meetings with the Lagos state, but in other states they're actually having real big parties. They're having parties, and because I'm based in Lagos state, but they're having parties, and I don't know, they're just doing what they like. So, but in Lagos state, we are very health and safety conscious, because it's more health than any other thing. You don't want anybody to come to an event and they get the COVID. So one thing that the event industry is also doing is that we're making sure that there's a guideline, guest list, people, people are getting accredited. Normally in Nigeria, we don't follow guest lists. We don't follow strictly by invitation, but now people are doing that, so that you can also identify anyone that came to your party and potentially, maybe caught the virus or gave somebody else, the virus. So that's kind of like what is happening in Nigeria, in Lagos at the moment. So event centers are not yet open. We're not allowed to have weddings yet. We're not allowed to have weddings of more than 20. You can have your civil ceremonies, you can do your events in your house, but no events in any event center at the moment.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. We're going to come to something you touched on later. Thank you very much for that. Precious, can we go to you? What are the wedding guidelines in South Africa?
Just like Funke, we don't have. It's been such a struggle to get any sort of green light or guideline or any kind of confirmation of what can be done. But in South Africa at the moment, we're still not allowed to have any gatherings, as much as we also allowed 50 people maximum for a funeral. So people are, what we're seeing as professionals, people are celebrating in their homes. And a lot of venues are kind of converting their spaces to be more intimate, to allow for intimate weddings. So we've tried all sorts of ways to try and get the government to give us the leeway of what's allowed, what's not allowed. But us as an industry and as professionals, we've put in place, the day that we get the green light to say, this is what you can do. Obviously, the capacity of how many people you can have, what needs to be adhered to in terms of masks, how, the meters between guests, how many people per table. But people are celebrating in their own homes, mostly private celebrations than weddings. A few people are doing weddings at home, but it's very small. And I think it's because our government is not really focusing on the tourism, leisure, or wedding industry per se. Other industries have been open, to the economy, but we're still quite in the dark. And also we have to also be very realistic and honest that, the spread is more at risk actually when people do gather, so that we're not, gonna be, ignorant about that fact, that the minute, when anything that has to do with a celebration, some of the pictures that we've seen that people have done weddings, towards the end when there's music or people are eating, those masks come off. So we also don't want to be an industry that, spreads, the virus in our country as well. So as much as it's not a great place to be, we all are quite aware that we might not be doing any celebrations at venues for quite some time, especially with our country being number 5 on the list in the whole world. So it's a scary number. So we also don't want to be part of the problem. As much as it's not easy, we have to be honest and quite realistic about the facts. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Precious. Thank you for that. Fumi, please, can you go next and let us know what the guidelines are in the UAE?
Hi, so at the moment, there aren't really any clear guidelines. So venues haven't really, the government haven't really come out and said, you know, we're doing this or we're doing this. It's been quite quiet. I think what everyone's expecting is that with Eid coming up next weekend, there may be some kind of announcement as to the way in which weddings are moving forward. But at the moment, not much has been said. You know, the only thing we know is you can start to have small gatherings, but no more than like say 20 or 30 people. And for example, per table, you have like 5 people as opposed to the 10. But even then, that's kind of per venue. Venues are kind of deciding how they move forward as opposed to a government directive. But one of the main things is that people aren't like the kind of tourism has only just started opening. In Abu Dhabi, tourists still can't fly into Abu Dhabi. You can only actually fly into Dubai. And there are so many different rules. They've just implemented a rule a couple of days ago where you have to have a negative corona test from it's a company called Pure Health, but there are only like a number of those across the world. So for example, there are people who are in Ireland at the moment who want to fly back here, but they can't. They're residents, they're not even tourists. So the rules are changing. They change quite quickly here and without much direction. So we're just kind of waiting to see what will happen. But as I said, I know a lot of venues are thinking possibly Eid. There may be some kind of announcement around that time. So we're just waiting to see what happens. But obviously it's a destination, so most of my clients either postpone to next year, and if there were weddings that they couldn't, then they potentially cancel. So we're just kind of seeing what happens over the next couple of months. But I don't see anything major happening, I would say, to at least August, September, maybe even October, because it's too hot at the moment anyway. So I'm thinking they're kind of taking that into consideration, waiting for Eid to pass and then seeing how it goes. But they're being quite strict in the UAE in terms of, you know, masks, hand sanitizer, even traveling between some of the different Emirates, you have to have a negative test just to get from one to the other. So they're being really strict. So yeah, we're just seeing how it will go. But I think September, October, November, we should have more of an idea of what's happening.
All right, thank you so much for that for me. Next, can we have Magli?
All right, so I deal with quite a number of destinations. So I thought I'd select a few to see how all of them are quite different. So we do a number in France, and in France, what we've seen is that weddings are back on. The industry is booming again, it's starting again. There is still some, you know, we have to consider sanitation stations and so forth. The numbers are per.
Sorry, can you speak up a bit? It's
Can you hear me? You can't
yeah.
hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So I was saying, so I deal with a number of countries. So France, for instance, weddings are back on. You can get married. However, if you're getting married at the registry, the numbers are restricted to 30. But again, it depends on the city. In Paris, or just the city across. You can't hear me again.
Yeah, we can't hear you now. I don't know what's going on.
Can you hear me now?
It's a bit low.
It's a bit low. Can you hear me better?
No, maybe if you come really close to your device.
Okay, hold on. Can you hear me now?
It's still really low. Do you want to try and speak so we can see if it's better?
Yeah, is it better?
It's still a bit low. Comment if you can hear and if it's okay. I can hear you, but I'm just cautious of everyone else. The panelist.
Can you hear me?
It's low. It's low. I don't know why it's low.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on here.
It's low, but I think we can manage.
You can?
Yeah, or do you want to?
Yes, we can manage.
Yeah, let's manage.
We can manage.
Okay, because I was going to switch it to another device quickly whilst if you skipped me and then I'll come back.
It's better now.
It's better.
It's better?
Yeah.
I want to give up. Okay. All right, cool. So I was just saying, so in Paris, in France, for instance, you can do weddings again. You can do celebration. However, at the registry, it is different. It depends. The numbers are limited. The average right now is 30 if you're doing at the registry. Most of, when you do weddings in France, is a little bit different. You can't get, for instance, in the UK, you can get venues that are licensed to do the registry, to do the legal elements of things. Whereas in France, you don't have that. You have to go to La Mairie, which is basically the registry. It's the council, yeah. So you have to go there to do your wedding, the legal ceremony. With that, that is limited. With the rest of the celebrations, it really depends on the venue and how they want to do it. So it's left to them to decide. But just in general, sanitation stations are required, and some may require for masks to be used on, like, with the waiting staff and event staff. In Greece, again, that's open. However, there is a maximum of 10 people per table. Again, all the waiting staff, all the event staff have to wear masks, and sanitation stations are all over the place, just to ensure that people are cleaning their hands and so forth. With Morocco, I think it's quite similar to South Africa and Nigeria. Guidelines, we're not really too sure what's going on. We think that might be some changes, like Fumi said as well, with Eid coming up. But right now it's 20 people, and that's the number. But we're expecting a change with that. When it happens, we're not too sure, but we're hopeful it's going to be soon. The tourism economy has restarted as well. So I think with that comes as well some changes that's going to happen in terms of destination weddings that are taking place over there. But again, in Morocco, people are still celebrating when they want to. They just get a fine. Yeah, so those are the 3 countries I wanted to cover.
All right, thank you very much for that. And can we get Shay now to let us know what the trends are, the guidelines are in the UK?
Yeah, I heard you say trends and I was like, oh. Yeah, so UK is very interesting. So the government is forthcoming with information, but I'm seeing a lot of kind of clashes, because it's almost like, yeah, we'll publish something, but then when you read the detail, there's a lot of if then, but this, caveat, this, that. So to be honest, whilst the legislation and information is available, and I'll just run through a few. So for example, wedding ceremonies are allowed technically. And when I say ceremony, I literally mean the joining. So, and again, even the joining, there are definitions of what classes as a valid or legally valid ceremony. So again, there's another list as well that you can go through. It is really confusing. So I can just empathize with anybody in the industry. It also says, for example, that even where the ceremonies are allowed to happen, they should only be done in a COVID-19 secure environment. Now, there's another set of guidelines that defines what a COVID-19 secure environment is. And also that puts the onus on the venue manager. So there's I'm sensing a lot of political passing the buck here, so that if something happens, it's going to be like, oh, it's not really us, it's the venue that failed to do this, or, something like that. They've, however, advised, keep the ceremonies as short as possible. No more than 30 people should attend a marriage or civil partnership. Again, subject to social distancing and COVID-19 secure venue guidelines. Large wedding receptions are currently not permitted. But again, like I said, when you look at all the details, they also flag on the guidelines that, these are guidelines, but actually you should also pay attention to other things like legislations, local restrictions, health and safety guidelines. So apparently those will precede the guidelines that they're giving. So yeah, that is a bit confusing. The only thing though that's really, really good to call out is recently it was announced that from the 1st of August, wedding receptions will be allowed to happen. But that again, there isn't a lot of information. The only thing we know so far is that those wedding receptions have to be sit-down meal events. I don't think, looking at the COVID-19 secure definitions, I don't think you'll be able to do anything more in that reception than just sit at a table and literally eat and just go. You will not be able to definitely dance, because one of the definitions of COVID-19 secure means you need to keep your distance from somebody who doesn't reside in your household. You have to avoid face-to-face contact with anybody who's outside your household. So how are you going to dance? How are you going to, you can't hug, you can't do anything. So yeah, I think that's kind of the situation in the UK. It is very, very lengthy. There's a lot of links going around, but yeah, I think for me, it is slightly confusing. But I think they are trying, which I think should be applauded, because, you know, at least it's nice to have some kind of information, because we're all kind of in this together. The only other thing as well to call out is it was also announced that from the 1st of October, that conferences can happen as well. So that kind of gives you a little bit of leeway, because conferences are they're a lot larger than weddings anyway. So if they're going to risk conferences happening, then maybe for weddings, you know, things are looking good. But again, all of this is all caveat to the numbers staying low. The moment any spike happens, all of these could go, literally. So that's the situation in the UK at the moment.
Thank you very much, Shay. I think we've seen a common trend from all the panelists, in the sense that there's not a lot of information, you know, from the government. That's what I'm hearing from all the panelists. There's not a lot of clarity. I know in the UK, it's similar to what you did in Nigeria, Funke. A lot of wedding planners and wedding industry bodies are coming together to kind of define what this would look like and present to the government and say, okay, can you solidify this? So there's a lot of, uncertainty at the moment. And that leads me to the second part of this question. So Chioma, I'm going to start with you. What are you advising couples to do in this uncertain season, especially couples that are getting married at the end of this year and very early next year?
Well, the number one thing is this, and I'll definitely share what we're doing with our clients for the weddings that are happening towards the end of this year. You have to start communicating with your guests. It is important that you get those information letters quite active. Start communicating with your guests. The number one thing is you might probably need to have a group A and group B and group C list. You have your main list, your main guest list, just in case anything happens to change towards the end of the year, where you can have more than 50% people in the ballroom or in the event space for your wedding. But just in case that has not happened, have a group like a plan B list, where you have your guest list to, like, the people that can attend, who you want to kind of filter people out for that can attend physically, and also those that can attend virtually. So that way, on your information letter, people are able to RSVP, but the ones that you want them to attend physically, they can be able to RSVP through like a link, whatever link that you're gonna create, whether they're able to be there physically or whether they prefer to be there virtually. So give your guests that option to let them know that, yes, you're in my main list, but you have an option of attending physically or have an option attending virtually. But encourage elderlies, just in case, because those that have that immune system are not quite strong to withstand what's going on, and if they haven't really been taking very good care of themselves, you probably may have to encourage them to attend virtually. But make sure that you have some kind of care pack, like a goodie pack, something that makes them feel very good that they're joining you virtually. So that way, the ones that are there physically, that are enjoying themselves, you don't want those that are also joining in virtually feel like, oh, I'm also there watching them, they're enjoying themselves, oh my God, you know, whatever. So you don't want them to feel so much. So do like a wedding in a box, something in a box that lets them know the order of events of what's going on. It can be have your sweet and savories, your signature drink mix, and etc. Possibly think about collaborating with whatever menu that you're actually having there on site. Possibly think about having contacting different chefs in that particular city that can prepare the food, something similar on the menu that they can have a courier service to go deliver it to them the day of the wedding, so they won't feel so much left out. And then on the information line as well too, because you want to make sure that your guests feel comfortable attending, and then letting them know what are the guidelines and new rules when it comes to traveling. One of the biggest issues, depending on what state or what country, they said if you come in, you have to quarantine for 2 weeks. Like right now in Houston, Texas, if we're flying to New York or New Jersey, they want me to quarantine for 2 weeks. Well, we ain't nobody got that kind of time to be sitting down in New York or New Jersey for like 2 weeks. So that means that if I'm a guest, I'm gonna have to do virtual. You know, if you do not change those rules, I'm gonna have to be one of those guests that have, because all that money, flights, everything. What am I doing there for 2 weeks? Except before the wedding, they now gotta stay for another, whatever. So I have to be a part of that, and a part of virtual. And then also another thing too is after you're not communicating, you separate your guest list. You're not communicating with your guests. You let them know what the travel regulations are, the travel bans, the travel information are, what is expected when they're coming to the wedding. They do not allow your guests to come in and be surprised. Educate them ahead of time as to what the flow is going to be like, what to expect before they get there. You're going to check your temperature. You need to sanitize next time. There's going to be a health. Right now, I'm encouraging everybody to have a health sector, like a health section where you have a health specialist that will be there on site, and that is strictly their duty, is to check those temperatures. If you're running temperature, if somebody sneezes or coughs or you ain't got no mask on, girl, let me get you over here. Let's go over here to the health section and see how you're feeling, see how you're doing, girl. So don't mind me, you guys are very, very silly, but so let them just handle everything that has to do with health and take care of that, so that way other people can feel comfortable moving around. And make sure that you have, I saw something that was so cute, I think I saw it on the knot.com, where when you have your event planners that are checking in, if you typically have 2 people checking in for about 100 people, I would sincerely advise have at least about, if you can, 5 people to make that check-in very quick and fast. Whatever it is that you need to do to make sure that they are not standing in line and talking for too long, make that very quick. Have your shield, have your mask on for your staff at all times, and etc. But also have your staff hand them over like a wristband or something that lets that person, that lets them know to check your comfort level. Yes, green means that I'm comfortable, you can come around me, you can dance around me, I'm good. Yellow means that I'll still be cautious, but red means that don't come around me, don't come close to me at all. We can just wait for wherever you are, girl, and we can wait for over here and bye-bye. So there's a lot tips to definitely give, and I don't want to take up too much of this time so that another speaker can piggyback or join in to what I'm saying. So there's a lot to share, but I want to give another speaker the chance to be able to do so. Adam as well. So I want to take, because that's also a lot of tips to give.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Choman. Thank you for being cautious of time as well. Next, I'm going to move to Funke. What are you advising your couples, your clients to do in this uncertain season, especially those getting married a later part of this year / early next year?
I like Choma, everything Choma has said. I think that for Nigeria, it's very different for us because we are not very used to a lot of rules and regulations. And what COVID has actually kind of made us also realize that we don't need to do so much. We don't need to do as much as we thought we needed to. There's so much going on at our event. We have a lot of food. There's always just so much food. So one of the things that I've been sharing with a lot of our clients is when we go back or when the events start reopening, the key thing is to let us do this event in a way that at the end of the day, everybody's happy, but we don't need to do as much as we used to do before. Communicate to your Choma's talked about communicating to the guests. I think communicating to the guests is very good, but I'm not in where we are. I'm not sure that telling people that you're my guest list, they're telling them that they're on your guest list and they may be physical or virtual. I think you just go there and just let them know that you're just on my virtual list. Or you can't choose. Don't even choose. People that should be virtual should be virtual. But really, what I'm just playing. I'm just trying to tease Choma there. But really, I think what it is just for every single person to understand that it's not going to be wedding as usual. For whenever you are getting married, it can never be the same anymore until all this is over. So you need to cut your expectations down. You need to change some of those ideas that you thought you needed to do, or some of those things that must happen at your event. You need to understand what what can you need to understand what is the most important thing to you. That's what I'm asking. What is your priority? What are the things that you want to see at your wedding? Once you can identify those things, so is it your first dance? Is it the gifts? Is it, I mean, sorry, is it the first dance? Is it the bridal party? What is important? Cutting of the cake, those moments, the personalization. When you determine what is important to you, then we can work backwards. So it's very, very important that the couple understand their expectation, they know what is important to them, and they also communicate that to their guest so that nobody is offended, nobody is upset. We've been doing events now, right now, where it's just 20 people, everybody else is watching online, people are watching virtually, everybody kind of understands. But I know that when the industry starts opening up, people are going to expect to be on your major guest list. People are going to expect to be at your event. Some of the things we're also advising our clients is to time their events. So you can have some guests come in maybe between 2 and 5, some other set of guests come in between 7 and 10, which is not what we normally do anyway. The young people usually come at 7 or 10. And then even now, start having events that people know the end time. Our events never end. We are there 1 a.m., 2 a.m., we're still partying. Communicate the timing to people. Let them understand that, look, events will probably be from 12 to 4 for a certain group of people, and 5 to 8 for a certain group, and maybe 10 to 12. Communication. I think Choma has said it. There's nothing more to tell anyone. It's just to communicate to your guests, communicate to the people, to everybody else so that they can understand. But the things that are the most important things to you are what I would say we usually tell them that what is key. Some of our clients have said to us, I'm not even going to get married until everything is over because I want to dance with everybody. I want my parents to be able to travel, things like that. But because of even now in Nigeria, if you come into Nigeria, you're going to be quarantined for a week, or 10 days. So nobody wants to come and do that. So I just think it's about communication, which Shoma has said very well. Communicate, as Shoma has said, and also lower your expectations and understand what is the most important thing to you for your big day. Once you identify that, I think that you can have the wedding of your dreams.
Thank you so much for that, Funke. Amazing. Because of time, I'm going to just move to Sheyi. Sheyi, I know you deal with a lot of vendors, you advise a lot of vendors. So what have you been advising vendors, to advise their clients in this period? Can you add to that, please?
Yeah, I'll keep it short. I totally agree with what everybody has said so far. I think for me, the advice definitely, it's more applicable to couples, unfortunately, rather than vendors. I think for couples, it will be if you have to get married now, because some people, I understand, you have this idea of a wedding and maybe you're not ready to let go of it yet. But whilst things are uncertain, you just have to understand that that's where we are. Nobody's God right now. Even the government is not sure about what's going on. They are winging it. That's the truth. So I think if you're wedding planning right now, if you really, 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 really must say I do it, as in do an official ceremony, in which case you probably only need you and your partner, do that. And then I'm going to come on to a wedding trend, which I think is going to take over very soon. Let's party out when this thing is over. But right now, if you have to get married, just say I do and live your lives, enjoy, and we'll save enough money to really throw it down when it's time.
All right, thank you so much, Shay. I was about to stop you, like we're going to wedding trends, so don't talk about that. Precious, I'm going to move to you and I'm going to slightly twist the question. So a lot of people have talked about what they're advising couples at the moment. What can you say to couples, to people are probably hearing this and they're like, oh gosh, what does this mean? All this information, does that mean I have to postpone? So how do couples still ensure that their wedding is still fun with all this information that's been shared with guidelines and social distancing?
I think the safest thing, what I've advised to all of my clients, I think when you plan a wedding and your dream vision that you've had originally, if you listen to your gut feel and you don't feel 100% sure that, sacrificing what your original vision was is gonna make you happy, I would highly recommend that you wait. I think, you know, the saying that love is not cancelled, I think a lot of people just lose hope and get disappointed that it's not going to happen as planned, but rather to be safe and to have it the way you want it to, that you enjoy, and you don't, you know, cut down on anything that will make you regret. I think the worst thing you want to do is regret not doing something. And for me, I think a wedding is such a an amazing, you know, platform for family and families and friends to, you know, just have that authentic moment of celebrating. And this, the way we're doing it now, if you really can't wait, I would say then just do the civil marriage and celebrate later. I think, you know, you don't want to be one of those people that have, you know, caused someone to be infected because they were at your wedding. It's possible. And research has shown that, you know, transmission is always, you know, during a lot of people gathering. And this is one of the ways. You can't control everyone. People, you know, decide on what they want to do. And you know, if it's all adults, you can't tell them what to do. So I would strongly advise on waiting until you have the green light and you 100% sure and safe that you can have it the way you want it to. But if you really can't wait, I think it's also a great opportunity for people that wanted to have really intimate weddings. I think this is a perfect time to get married, because you know, you've got the excuse that you couldn't have the number of people that you wanted to. And if anything, one of the questions was, you know, combining your honeymoon and, you know, your wedding as one. I think after all of this, people want to celebrate, they want to travel, but also keeping in mind that it's been such an impact on people financially as well. So you have to keep that in mind. You know, so I think waiting is the best way. And as a recent bride, for me, I wouldn't want to, you know, sacrifice some experiences because I want to do it at the date that we had set, you know, originally. So I would say wait it out. I think it's going to be worth the wait. You'll have more reason to celebrate. And rather than, you know, waiting till the last minute and doing things rushed. But also as a bride, keep in mind that you don't want to, you know, change your mind or cancel closer to your original wedding date, because you're risking quite a lot of things. So decide well in advance so that you've got enough time to plan. As planners, we know the more time you have, the more you can have a perfect experience. So just think it through and try to stay positive and not worry about it's not happening the date that you wanted. It will still be worth celebrating. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Precious, for that. Thank you. We're going to quickly move on to the wedding trends. A lot of you have picked up on some trends already. You've given it away. But I'm going to move to Shay. So Shay, you're the wedding trends experts, always covering wedding trends for far back to 6 or 7 years right now. What are the wedding trends that we're seeing as a result of COVID?
Yay. I love trends, sorry. So I think, yeah, for me, trends are beautiful. And by the way, some of these will be predictions. So because there aren't a lot of weddings going on right now, this is kind of a mix of what we've seen, but also, you know, what we think is going to happen just by virtue of what's happening. So there are some really, really obvious ones. I won't spend too much time on those because we know them. So internet Zoom weddings, wearing face masks, face shields, smaller intimate wedding ceremonies, celebration boxes, alternative wedding venues. Those are definitely things that will start trending. They already have started. But I'm going to move on to some other points. So the first one that I have on my list is what I'm calling the sequel wedding trend. And this is what I was leading to before, because obviously right now, people who, especially if you had, I mean, I don't know any Nigerian or African, no matter how intimate you want your wedding to be, it involves some kind of music, food, and dance. Yeah. So even for the most intimate of us, we still want an element of partying. We want an element of turning up, you know, that kind of feel. So I think the sequel wedding trend is going to take off. So I'm hoping that COVID ends soon. But I think as soon as it ends, people will not wait for their anniversary to have this party. They will literally turn up as soon as possible. But also the thing is, it's not going to necessarily be the same kind of turn up. it might be a bit laid back because you probably might not need all the elements you would have needed because you already have your wedding day done and dusted. So this is literally just going to be a party with food, with music, you know, with family and people that you love. So that's the number one trend on my list. The next one is what I'm calling weddingcations. Now we already used to see some of this before COVID, but I think this is going to be highlighted even more. And this is probably for really, really extremely close family and friends. I don't think this is for like distant people because like Precious said, COVID has been financially impacting on a lot of people. So I don't think the whole world is going to just be traveling with you to go on this vacation. But I think the reason why I think this is going to be a thing is because as we've seen with a lot of countries, when you fly into a country, you have a mandatory 14 or 10-day isolation period. So if someone is going to go through that length to be with you on your wedding day, you know, why would I spend only 2 hours with you and just have a ceremony here in the UK, for example, because that's all that's allowed right now? I would rather just, you know, personally, and this is again a prediction, why don't we book out an Airbnb? Why don't we book out a Lakeway Lakes, you know, somewhere like that, and literally, you know, everybody stays within their household in their individual rooms, but then we create this activity type period for the whole isolation period, and we just isolate together, since that's, you know, that's kind of what's going to happen. Because if I'm going to be with you in 2 hours, I might as well be with you in 14 days. It doesn't really make a difference. So I think that is going to start picking up. And I also think that a lot of venues, especially resorts, will encourage this, because even for pricing, for the guidelines, it probably works in their favor. So, you know, their beds are filled longer, people are booking them for bulk periods and staying within the venue for longer, and also they're not changing guests, so the sanitation requirement is not as deep. So I think that's going to kick off heavily. And it doesn't necessarily mean you traveling outside, by the way. It can be local, so you can go to like your local resort or somewhere just down the road that's really nice, that has the space and, you know, allows you be who you are and have fun. The next one I want to talk about is next level decor. So for me, the decor in, I don't know, and I'm sorry if this hits home on anybody here.
Sorry, you've got 2 minutes.
Oh, okay, cool. I'll rush through. So decor, I've always felt like the Nigerian decor has always been, for me, crazy, because we there's always like so many themes, and you know, you see sparklers and fogs and all these kind of things. I think when we go back to, or when we start to get back to life as it was, decor would have to be so important, because there's so much social distance and there's so much space in between people. If we don't fill that space up with things, it's going to just end up looking bare, and you know, nobody wants that. So I think decor is going to be huge. And I have 2 quick ones I'll just rush through. RSVPs are going to take a whole new meaning. Like Funke said, right now, people need to know who is coming to that event. Not only do they need to know, they need to have your name, your contact details, your email address. And because of that, it's probably going to open up a world of experiences. So because I have your name and your phone number, am I going to be texting you to say your Uber is outside or get your food? So, you know, I feel like the opening of this data collection is just going to cause a whole new range of experiences that we've never been used to before. So that's that one on RSVPs. And the last one is what I'm calling conscious wedding vendor sourcing. So this has come about partly because of COVID. So if you've seen the news in the last 2-3 months, you know, everybody has become a little bit more emotional, because we're spending so much time with our family, our friends. We're now seeing the impact of our money being spent in our local environments with people of our races. We've also had things like the Black Lives Matter movement. So I think that a lot of brides are going to start spending their money consciously. So they're thinking of values. Okay, this vendor that I want to hire, what have they done to contribute to my environment? What have they done to contribute to my community? How do they lend their voice to certain causes and things like that? So I think there'll be a lot more of that. It won't just be enough to just be a great planner, a great decorator. There would also be that extra element of, okay, beyond that, how are you treating your staff? What are you doing? And all these kind of things. So yeah, that's it. Sorry, that was like...
No worries. Thank you so much, Shay. I know when it comes to wedding trends, we can go on and on and on.
I know.
Thank you so much. So one of the first trends you mentioned was intimate weddings. Now, because of time, can I ask speakers to please keep their questions to 1 minute? Just make it quick and make it punchy, but try and get everything in. I'm going to move on to Magali. So Shay, you mentioned intimate weddings as a trend, and Magali, you do a lot of intimate weddings. So I wanted to ask you, what are the top things to focus on when planning an intimate weddings? We're going to see a lot of them popping up. So what are you advising couples, or what would you advise brides?
We advise brides on, when we're doing intimate weddings, it's all about details. It's all about being personal. Personalize it as much as you can. Make it, we don't even call them weddings. We're really about creating an unforgettable experience so that everyone that traveled, and you know, most of the things, some of the trends that are mentioned, we have to do, like we do boxes, like a welcome box, because people have traveled around the world to come to your wedding. So, and there's a lot of things that has been mentioned in terms of trends that we have to incorporate that in weddings, but it's all about making it personal, make people feel valued for coming with you. And, you know, it's a fun time. So most of our events are like between 2 to 3 days anyway. So spend a lot of time with people and acknowledge their presence, you know, and appreciate them.
Okay, thank you. That was very, very short and sweet. I love that. Thank you very much. I'm going to move to Funke as well. You do a lot of intimate weddings, and can you let us know what are the top things to focus on when planning an intimate weddings? If you want to add to what Magali said.
So yeah, I think in terms of the intimate weddings, with the, you know, with everything that's happened with COVID, it's a lot of the time, even though we have intimate weddings, there are still points where people that maybe you didn't want there have still attended. So I think there's definitely this idea of guest list that's been spoken about, ensuring that now that we have to be quite conscious of who's coming, that you know, that's quite important. So ensuring that your guest list, you know, you're keeping it to a minimum. If it is just close families, like Shay said, this idea of this, was it weddingcation? So you're having these people that are spending, you know, time with you, and we do that quite often. So our guests, obviously, they're flying away to the UAE, and so therefore, some of my guests do book out villas, and you know, for the groom's family and the bride's family, and they all stay together. So I definitely think there will be a rise in those types of things, and also as Magali said, you know, making it you know, a 2 or 3 or 4 day event. Again, we have that. So, you know, on one day there'll be like a bridal brunch. On another day there'll be like a yacht party. Then there'll be like the pre-wedding dinner, and then there's the wedding itself. So again, it's having, you know, just the idea of intimacy, but ensuring that people that have flown all that way, especially when it's in the UAE, are enjoying their time. That it's not just, yes, it's a wedding, but they're also, you know, they've taken their time, they've spent money when we're thinking about the financial impacts that COVID has had. So ensure that they feel valued, and that they're enjoying it just as much as you. Yes, it's your wedding, but if they've taken that time out, make sure that they're having fun, they're enjoying it. I think that's definitely important. People want to come away from this thinking, I had an amazing day, I spent time with the 2 people that we love, but I actually had a great time too. I had a great holiday, or whatever it may have been. So I think for me, again, it's that idea of, yeah, making sure your guests are enjoying themselves, but also your guest numbers, keep those small, and it's the people closest and dearest to you that should be attending.
All right, thank you so much for that, Funke. I love that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask a question, and I just want each planner to give me just in 1 sentence, 10 seconds, their thoughts on this, because this is a big trend that I've seen come up. So Funke, I'll continue with you. What is your thoughts on the marry now, party later trend?
I love it. I think it's if you're, obviously the wedding is about, is a life, not just a day. Let's not forget that. Okay, a lot of people get caught up in this amazing day. It is about that day, but it's about the rest of your life. So I'm like, if you truly want to get married just for you two, go to the registry office, do what you need to do, and then have your party later. And I've had, my cousin had to do the exact same thing, because she really wanted to get married, and she had to postpone it. Then they said August. So they had a very small trad in her living room. They've done the legal part, and now they're going to party next year. And I think it's the way forward. I love it. I love it. And, you know, you can limit the number of people. So yeah, I'm all for it.
Thank you, Funke. Funke, I'm going to go to you. What are your thoughts on this trend?
Whatever rocks your boat, whatever rocks your boat. So I think whatever you know, works for each individual. Some don't like it. Some want to get married and quickly move in together. Some, the bride and groom are not even in the same location. So they can't even marry now and party later. They can't do that, and they want to do it. So I think whatever rocks anyone's boat, whatever makes you happy. Some have said to us, they wouldn't, if they marry now, they're not going to party any later. Once they marry now, they're not partying later. So everybody's different, because I just also feel that there's also some form of, you get a bit, I don't want to say maybe tired, because if you've done your wedding now, what is the motivation to have a party later? Sometimes there's really no motivation anymore. So you might as well say, oh, I've already done it. I mean, what do we need to, why have another party? So I just think that it's what works for you. And so if you can wait. If you can't wait, get married and party later. If you can't do that, whatever works for you, we will be there for you anywhere and any which way.
All right, thank you so much, Funke. I'm going to quickly go to Choma. Choma, what are your thoughts on this trend, marry now and party later?
To be honest with you, I agree with Funke. Honestly, it's just all about what floats, like whatever floats your boat, honestly, and whatever because you're absolutely right. Like I have couples that are like, gee, if I'm not doing this now, and if I get married, we're just gonna have to wait and have the baby, do whatever I need to do. Then maybe on our 10-year anniversary, 5-year anniversary, then we can now celebrate. So I sincerely say, go with whatever you feel. If you can wait, if you want to really party and you just want to do it and get it out the way, then wait, postpone. If you can't and you want to be able to do it, say, because the most important thing, to be honest with you real quick, is the most important thing about it is that man that's there on that aisle waiting for you is the most important. That person you're saying I do to. Because if he's not on that aisle and you enter the beginning of the aisle, the wedding is not happening. So with that being said, this puts everything into perspective as to what is the most important reason why you're getting married is to say I do and to join other families together. So to be honest with you, do you, boo?
Okay, boo. I'm going to move to Precious quickly. What are your thoughts on this trend?
Personally, I'm going to make an example with when you have your wedding and you decide to honeymoon later. Most people don't actually go on honeymoon because they waited. So I honestly think it's really a personal choice. If you're going to wait and party later, it's going to be for a different reason. I think the authenticity of getting married now and celebrating is you have one anniversary date. It's after the moment that you've been waiting for. So I would honestly, my view is waiting it out. I'm not for marry now and party later. But I think it would work for someone that they were gonna originally have a very, very small wedding that it's just family. But if you were planning to have a big wedding, I think if you decide to go to the marriage officer and get married and party later, it would be for different reasons. If anything, you're gonna actually keep postponing and it might not even end up happening. I haven't gone on my honeymoon because I wanted to honeymoon later and COVID happened. So, things come in the way. You're probably gonna spend the same amount of money having it now and waiting to celebrate later. So I would say make sure it's on the same day because it will take the same amount of effort to plan, even if you're just marrying now and celebrating later. So I would rather wait and it's just one big moment that, that's what you remember for life. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that, Precious. I don't know if the panelists are seeing the comments, but I'm loving it. A lot of them are bigging all of you up. Precious pearls of wisdom. Funke, someone likes your singing. Shay, great list of wedding trends. Someone was agreeing with Fumi. So a lot is coming out of the comments. I love it. Keep going, guys. All right. So quickly, Magli, can you add to that as well? The marry now party later trend.
I agree with all the panelists. I think it's your choice. Do what you want. However, there is a risk that you might not actually get to party later. But I also think dealing with a lot of people when we're doing destination, a lot of people are running away from the big weddings. So I think some people would jump on a trend just because it's more convenient for them and have no intention of throwing a party later. I know some of the grooms will be quite happy as well to save some money. So let's see how it goes. But I think in general, the whole industry is about to change.
All right, thank you so much for that. So because of time, we're going to quickly move through the questions and go into wedding planning itself. So I'm going to touch on wedding postponement. Chioma, how long should brides wait before making a decision to postpone, if they have to postpone or if they're thinking about it?
Well, I'm going by quite a few of the weddings that I'm doing here and also doing international as well too. A lot of policies here are allowing you to only postpone, to give you the right to postpone 3 months before your actual scheduled wedding date. Because the state is allowing weddings to happen, so technically venues and vendors are still running businesses, but it's only for up to like I mentioned before, up to about 100 guests. So they're taking everything month by month. That's what I'm saying. Like there's no rules, like strong concrete rules right now. So what most venues are doing is, and venues unfortunately are the ones that are calling all the shots right now. So if the venue is saying that, oh, you can still do your wedding, but you cannot postpone. If you postpone, there's a fee. They're gonna come back and attack you and say, oh, well, you signed a contract. So if you choose to postpone, that is your personal choice. So because the state is allowing the weddings to still happen, you cannot postpone your wedding. But if you choose to postpone, there will potentially be a fee for it. So what they're doing is that they're handling everything month to month. They're only allowing couples to move their weddings. If it's 3 months to the wedding date and things are still happening, that's when they're allowed for you to postpone with no additional fees. And however, if you postpone, but I will advise that if you're gonna postpone, like I forgot who mentioned that earlier, don't postpone like to 2 months later or whatever. Give yourself at least another, if you can, give yourself at least another 6 months. If you cannot do 6 months break, then this is what I would sincerely advise. I would advise, if you don't want to fall underneath the rules of the state, what a lot of my couples are doing, they are renting mansions, honey. Like they are renting mansions with like a big tennis court, a big pool area, like a big lawn where they get to set up the tent and do it however it is that they want to do it. And be able to, but they're still, you know, being conscious of the number of guests can as well too. But what they're doing is just that with just doing it the way I want to do it, is just renting private properties and collaborate with real estate and concierge companies to be able to like do their weddings. So that's really, I'm not sure if I answered that question, if I answered your question there.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
I did? Okay, all right.
Good one. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to move on to Funke now, still on the postponement, but on the side of vendors. So Funke, can you let us know what's the best way to postpone a wedding without losing a lot of money? So a lot of brides are scared of losing deposits. I've heard the term of postponement fees, you know, and you know they don't want to lose their vendors as well. So what advice can you give?
Okay, I think that, okay, it depends on your country and it depends on the contract, which is why it's important to have a contract. You can, every vendor usually has a contract, and in their contract, they'll tell you how many times you can postpone. For some vendors, you can't postpone 3 times, because once you do that, they keep on losing work for your date. So you have to be very careful, read the contracts very well, and understand the terms and conditions of each vendor. Some are going to be sympathetic with you and some are not. Some are going to take you back to the contract. So you need to ensure that whenever you are postponing, you give it enough time, and you give it. We've had a client postpone twice and then ultimately cancel, and she lost all her deposit. She lost everything. She lost all her deposit. So because she postponed twice and canceled eventually, she lost everything because all the vendors said, you know what, we've lost income. So it's very, very important that for the vendors, you need to be fair, to give them enough time, but at the same time, you have to be fair in the number of times you postpone. Just make sure you read your contracts properly. And when there's no contract, sometimes it is, you have to do it's called fair play. I mean, or fair, but please have a contract. But make sure, let me also tell you another thing to do. And I mean, I'm speaking I'm a planner, and I'm also, you know, as much as possible, do not during this period, give anyone more than 30% deposit or 40%. Work out your contracts with your vendors. Don't do it an 80%, 100%. Work out contracts. Let everybody has a contract. You have a contract, they have a contract. Both of you must agree, because guess what? There's some form of deposit that you may not ever be able to get back. Even if you do cancel, you can't get it back. So you don't want to start arguing with your vendor back and forth on what type of deposit, and then try as much as possible to go with vendors that are not going to charge you a postponement fee. Charge you a postponement fee, charge you a, there's some vendors like that. So please just make sure you have conversations. Choose your vendors wisely. Speak to people. Don't choose your vendors based on the razzmatazz or the hype. Choose your vendors wisely. Some vendors change on you. They change, they go crazy. When it's time to get a deposit back, they go crazy. So please choose your vendors wisely. That's what I would say.
Can I add on to that real quickly? Is that okay? Are we able to like kind of counter?
Yeah, you can add on quickly. Yes, please.
So,
keep it quick, please.
Okay, I'll be very quick. Brides, here's for a lot of brides that are listening. Here's what, picking it back off to what Ms. Funke mentioned earlier. Do not believe the hype on social media. Trust me. Don't believe the hype on social media, because when it comes down to money, that's when you start seeing people's true color. That's when you start seeing people's true intentions. The job of the planner is to protect you, your pocket, your emotion, and your sanity, not to take advantage of you in any form or shape whatsoever. All the vendors take advantage of you in any form or shape whatsoever. Make sure that your planner is fighting for you and your contract and your rights, because when you signed that contract 2 years ago or last year to be able to do your wedding this year or next year, if the things have changed since then, so they need to go back. So nothing that applied last year when it comes to postponement and cancellation should apply to you in this COVID year, in this season. So they need to go back and adjust that contract to ask the venues, the vendors, to make sure that they have something they call a force majeure on the contract. And what the force majeure principally does is this: it protects the vendor, the venue, and also protects you as well, meaning that there's no liability, there's nothing expected of you if you choose to postpone or to cancel, to protect your pocket and also protect the vendor as well. So there's no liability on both parts. And also it enables the venue to be able to give you some kind of refund back. If for every reason your date is not available, you cannot hold your wedding on any other guidelines, and there's nothing else that you can do, it allows them to be able to protect and give you the money back. Hence the reason why I would advise any vendor and any couple, please break down. Make sure that your deposit is broken down. Do not give too much money to that particular vendor, that especially if they're not easy to work with them. But if they cannot do the force majeure, make sure that they put a pandemic clause. The pandemic clause is to make sure that you have about a year to move your date with no additional cost. Nobody should be charging you any money to move your wedding date. Hear me, brides. Nobody should be charging you any money, especially that one time, to move your date, to move your wedding within that 1 year gap. So the pandemic clause of the force majeure, make sure that you are protected when it comes to postponing your wedding, to make sure that you are protected when it comes to, if you have to, for whatever reason, cancel your wedding. I would advise, if you cannot, please, don't cancel. If you can postpone, please postpone. Because what also does is you have to also understand on the vendor aspect of it. If, let's just say real quickly, that they've been planning your wedding now since 2019, and you moved your wedding in 2021, be understanding that what that does is that with the vendors, like I said, they're charging you to plan your wedding for 3 years. So if they're charging you about between like $8,000 or so plus to plan your wedding or to be able to produce your wedding, break down that 3 years, the amount of hours per year that they are taking them to produce that wedding, and break it up. The vendors are losing a lot of money as well too. So also be considerate of that as well too, that is like they're charging you a fee for 3 years. So that's why, for whatever reason, if that vendor is asking that, Auntie, please, Joe, please, I beg, please just move the wedding day, just move it so that I can open up room to be able to recoup the money that I've also lost the other year. But they should not be charging you any postponement fees at all for you to move your wedding within the span of 1 year. Sorry, just have to throw that in.
Thank you so much for that, Chioma. I was going to go into that, but short of time. But I'm going to move on to Precious. So Precious, back on the vendor topic, what important questions should couples be asking their vendors before they secure them in this period?
I think just make sure you've done your research. If you're not sure about a supplier or a vendor or someone that's part of your creative team for your wedding, just make sure you get references so that you can do a background check, because the last thing that you want is to be stuck in a contract and you can't get your money back. But also, I think what Chioma said is you also have to be considerate of the service provider. So a contract should protect both parties. It shouldn't be one-sided. So before you sign, make sure that it's fair on both parties. You know, what we do is very much about time. So when you are considering, you know, postponing, just remember that the longer you postpone your wedding, it's more time that, you know, the planner is actually working on your wedding. So if you check the contract, you must make sure that you're in agreement and it's favorable to both parties. A contract is supposed to be something that is fair for each party involved. So I would say that, you know, also the advice of not paying a lot of money in advance. So how I structure my contract and how a lot of people do, it's based on time that is already being put on the wedding, how much time you've worked. So that's why it's structured in a way that 3 months before, you know, 6 months before, because it's related to the time put in, you know, ahead of the wedding. So you also need to make sure, don't be too excited with money. You need to make sure what you're paying for equals to the amount of time and the work that your planner or the service provider has put in already. So you know, in the middle of excitement, a lot of couples, you know, want to get rid of, you know, any payments. They've got money, they want to pay a lot in advance. Just make sure that you've got it in writing and you've got your backup, so that, you know, everything is written down and it's not just because it was over a phone call or anything like that. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Precious. Guys, we're running a lot behind schedule. As you know, this panel session is very juicy. There's a lot of information being shared, a lot of wisdom. So we're going to be 30 minutes behind schedule. So we're going to finish at 6 instead. But please don't go anywhere. We still have a former bride panel and we're talking about getting ready for your marriage. I'm seeing a lot of comments here. That's a great point, Funke. Someone said, someone's agreeing with Choma, Preach Choma. Someone is saying that there's so much wisdom on this panel session. Someone said, wow, I'm learning a lot. Golden. So there's a lot coming up from the comments at the moment. And remember, please put your question in the Q&A. I'm seeing quite a lot of questions right now. We will answer them. We have 10 more minutes, so I'm going to go through the questions quickly, and I'm going to still beg the panelists to please try and keep it short, but I know obviously there's a lot of information to be shared. So I'm going to move now to destination weddings, because I feel like there's a lot of, you know, people in the comments. We've seen Portugal, we've seen Jamaica, so a lot of destination weddings, and we've seen Abu Dhabi. Now, so Magli, I'm going to go to you. What would destination weddings look like, or what do you think they're going to look like this year and early next year? And what are you advising your clients to do?
So with destination weddings, to be honest with you, with all the different countries, we're expecting different changes in everything. Just like I mentioned at the beginning, France is doing it quite differently. I love the way Greece is doing it. And I'm hoping that a lot more countries are following through, which means that there's going to be a very slight change to destination weddings. I think the main things will be guest management. Because of everything that's taking place, it won't be the wedding itself, it'll be the traveling part that we need to look into. And that's the thing that's more impacted. Also, it's just the way that we negotiate with hotels for the rooms and to ensure that that guests are getting a refund if there are changes, instead of what we've been dealing with this year, which is vouchers and credits, because a lot of in the travel industry, no one wants to hear about refunds right now. So they're just giving you some vouchers and trying to give you some credit to use in the future within a year. So that's the main thing that we can see that's going to change in terms of destination weddings. In terms of this year, personally, I'm not comfortable with taking on any destination weddings. All our weddings have been postponed and they will start from April next year. And the idea behind it is that we've seen how the world is dealing with it. You know, not only are we dealing with the country of origin, but we're also dealing with the destination country. So there's so many elements of it. And because of that, we're just not touching it right now. We are still planning for them, but we're not taking on any for 2020.
Thank you so much for that. Fumi, please, can you add to this? Because I know you do a bit of destination weddings as well.
Sorry, so the question was, what will destination weddings look like?
This year and early next year, and what are you advising clients to do?
Okay, so again, similar to kind of Magali in terms of most of our clients are flying in, so it's not a case of they're already in country and therefore we're planning. Our clients are coming in, so potentially there's that increased risk of contracting COVID at the airport, on the plane, all those types of things. So as I said, most of my clients have either postponed or cancelled if they had to have the wedding or whatever event it was they were doing. So we don't have anything at the moment. The earliest is like November, say December. And even then, because we don't know what the guidelines are, we're just waiting to see what happens. So at the moment for us really in the UAE, it's a case of a waiting game. But for weddings that I have in other countries, so I have one in Seychelles in December, that's going ahead. You know, we've been talking to the hotels in Seychelles, kind of what they're putting in place. But again, as I said before, it's about, and Magali said, it's guest management. The weddings are smaller and smaller. So for example, the one in Seychelles, it's literally just the bride and groom now. Because again, what we're finding is, and I find it here, a lot of my clients typically have a lot of older family members, and the older family members, they don't want to travel, or if they do, the couple don't want to be the reason as to why someone contracts it, and God forbid something happens to them. So it's smaller weddings, definitely. The idea of close family, close friends, or maybe even just the bride and groom. I've had a few people contacted me about just the bride and groom. So I think a lot smaller than we were seeing before. I think that's a trend, but also realistically, destination weddings probably weren't happening, I would say, until at least maybe later on in the year, if not early next year. So we're planning, but we don't have anything for this foreseeable future, just because, just health and safety wise for us, but also our guests and our clients.
All right, thank you so much for that. I'm going to wrap up this panel session in under 10 minutes. I just have a few important questions to go through. Moving on to wedding planning in this season. Fumi, let me keep you on. What are your top tips for brides to stay on top of their wedding planning in this season?
So I think most people are thinking, oh, okay, my wedding isn't until October 2021, so I'm just going to hold back a bit. But I definitely think you still need to continue your planning, keeping on top of the guidelines to ensure that, you know, we've spoken about these ideas, these meal boxes, or, you know, the different things that we can do, these gift boxes, you know, what's happening in society, following the trends, you know, again, you know, one of Shay's specialties, and looking at what's happening, how can I implement things now that will be, you know, kind of thinking ahead for next year. So definitely continue planning. You know, it doesn't have to be, you can be slower paced. You can take more time with it. And also gives you time to save a bit more money. Your wedding may have been this October, but now you've got an extra year to save and maybe do things slightly bigger, whether it was a decor or whatever it may be. So I think it's definitely continue your planning, keep on top of the guidelines and the trends, and seeing how you can make your wedding safer for yourself and your guests.
Okay, I love that. I'm going to quickly move on to traditional element. Funke, this one is for you. So the traditional element is an important process of wedding planning we see in our African culture. How can brides still incorporate this? What is your advice to brides still wanting to incorporate their traditional wedding?
Okay, so brides that want to still incorporate the traditional element, as I keep on saying, what is important? What if you don't have it? Will it kill the wedding, or will it kill your life or your marriage? So you have to be very, very careful. There are some things that in every country, or let me not say every country, every culture has their tradition, and they will tell you what is important and what is not. If you can still do that without bringing in so many people, you know, as Fumi said, most people, even in Nigeria especially, are older. You have a lot of people who have performed the traditional rites are older people. So do you want to risk them being in a room where they not get, you know, the virus? So you have to determine what's important. That's why I'm saying that maybe you have to wait, or if you can't wait, you do the traditional parts of it with just your family, maybe in the sitting room, maybe with just 4 people. But the key thing is the traditional rites are for you. It's for the family. It's not for the public. It's for the family. So once you perform that with the family, then take a picture and show the public that you've done it. But if it's so important to you, so it's very key that you need to protect your older family members. Tradition is important. A lot of people love tradition. They love their culture. So once you do, and it's important to you, you can have it in your living room with your family. and take a picture, but you can still do it. You can create it, 2 people. We had one recently where the bride and groom are in England. They had the traditional rites in Nigeria without the bride and groom. They just put a picture of them. They've been doing that before. Put a picture, show us, let the families come together. Mommy and daddy, my daughter, your son, my son, boom, everybody was fine. So once the traditional elements are important to you, you can still have it, but you don't have to have it in a big way. That's my advice.
Thank you so much for that. I'm just going to quickly move on to decor. So Precious, in order for a wedding to pop, what are the areas that brides or couples should focus on when it comes to decor?
Sure, I'm one of those planners. I listen to my clients a lot, but I always say make sure your focal points that you spend most of your hours, that is going to be photographed a lot, is where you spend your money. So it's usually your backdrop for your ceremony, where you say your I do's, and the same part for your reception would be the cake is always a focal point, and the main table where, as you newlyweds, as the Mr. and Mrs. are sitting, and also the first couple of tables that it's either your family and your closest friends. I always say that's the part that when it comes to the decor, you need to focus on. So it's the elements that is gonna be in the pictures a lot. It's gonna be where everyone is looking at a lot. So we spend a lot of time at the reception. So some people, depending on your budget, I mean, I have clients that, spend a lot of money on the pre-reception. And for me, you spend less hours there during cocktail hour. You're not even there to experience it. So I usually say, take that money and put it somewhere where you're gonna be part of it as well. Because you spend a lot of money on your entertainment or the decor, your furniture for your cocktail hour, but you're not even there to experience it. Yes, your guests need to be comfortable. It needs to be beautiful. It needs to be a nice experience. But where you're going to remember forever, it's your backdrop at the altar. It's your aisle that you're walking down to your hubby or wife-to-be, and your reception where you're sitting and spending most of the time. So that's where you spend a lot of your money on in terms of decor. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much for that. So I'm just going to take 2 more questions and then we're going to open the floor to the question and answers. This is an important one I wanted to touch on. So Chioma, what is the best way to reduce the size of a wedding? Now that we're seeing a lot of people are going to be having smaller weddings, so disinviting guests, etc., especially when guests have put money into a wedding, like they've bought Ashoebi or they bought flights, etc. What is the best way to reduce the size and manage that?
Wow, see, that's a very, very tough one, especially if you've already invited them, if they've already bought their Ashebi. Again, if you're planning on doing your wedding this year and people have already bought their Ashebi, move your wedding next year because they've already spent that money already. Allow them to be able to wear that outfit again because they can't wear it behind the camera and they're enjoying themselves and doing supermodel for you. So no, just move your wedding to next year if they've already spent that money. And as far as that has been a very, to be honest with you, that has been a very difficult one to be able to navigate towards, especially for the ones that already RSVP'd already. So what we started doing again is we had to send out another information letter to let the guests know that because of everything that's going on, whatever RSVP that happened before no longer exists anymore. So once we have more information, we'll be able to let you know, and we're speaking on behalf of the couple, we'll be able to let you know what the next step is. Now, so that everybody are clear. Then whenever the couple now decide when they're going to be having their wedding, you now again have your group A list, group B list, and etc. of who you want to invite, who you want to be there. So like you said, with family members, whoever that you've been around for the past 2 weeks and nobody has gotten sick. If you've been around some of your friends, sit those people on the same table. Those people can be there physically. So you pretty much, like I mentioned before, open it up to whereby like you have the guests you want there physically and the ones you want there to be virtually as well, to let them know that they're still invited, but here's the other, unfortunately, we have to keep it intimate, strictly family and closest friends, but you're more than definitely invited to join us virtually, and making sure that those people that are virtual, that they're also very well taken care of as well, so they don't feel so much left out. But if people have already bought Ashe, because it would be very, very sad that have spent all that money at Shebi and getting it sewn, etc., and you tell them that they can't come to the wedding. Because the next thing you know, it's going to cause problems between you and them. They're going to start asking you for a refund back. Then all of a sudden, drama now starts. You don't need all that energy. Just so if you can, just move it. But move it to next year. If they've already started making that Shebi, bought it, and you have a lot of them, move it to next year.
All right, thank you very much for that. One last question before we go to advice from from all the panelists. Magli, I'm gonna direct this at you. You do a lot of intimate weddings. So since weddings from all the panelists are going to be more intimate moving forward at the moment, what other spaces can couples use? I know one of the panelists mentioned that the hotels are too big or too large. So what other spaces can couples use for their weddings?
I think someone's mentioned as well, private properties in terms of spaces that can be used. Generally, we don't use hotels anyway. We hardly use hotels. So we tend to use private properties. It could be restaurants that we can buy out. It could be just different spaces. It really does not have to be hotels. You have to think outside the box of them. There's some venues in different countries that can cater to a small number and make it intimate. The reason why we don't use hotels actually most of the time is because we feel like it's not intimate enough. And if you want to have that unforgettable experience, it's nice to have your own area to do it at.
Okay, so okay, so I'm just going to quickly go through the panelists to get your advice to couples, and then I'm going to open the Q&A for 10 minutes, and then we'll go straight to our former bride panel so that we are still somewhat on time. First one is for Funke. So what is your advice for brides feeling worried about postponing again, especially if they've done it not once, but twice?
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that you will have to postpone again. My advice to you is just take it easy. Don't panic too much. Don't stress too much. It's not, whatever is happening isn't your fault. We're all, as you all know, I mean, I'm sure you've heard we're all in this together. I don't want to say that, but just don't panic. Look at everything, look at all the guidelines, understand the season, understand what needs to happen, and just postpone it to whenever you can. And don't be too sad. Don't be too sad. I know that mentally it's a lot of adjustment to do, but don't be too sad. I think everybody understands. And as everybody has said, love isn't cancelled. So just don't panic too much and don't let yourself be too stressed. That's what I would just say.
Thank you very much for that. Next, I'm going to move on to Chioma. So what is your advice for brides who are uncertain or don't know what kind of safety precautions they should be incorporating into their weddings?
Like I mentioned before, making sure again that you communicate with your guests ahead of time to let them know that you've taken measures to make sure that they're safe. You sanitize the property, whatever wedding that happened the day before that, or the week before, or the 2 days before, to make sure that this venue has pretty much cleaned it up thoroughly, that you can even convert that space into a hospital, honey. So that needs to be that clean. And then secondly, favors. When it comes out to favors, I know you hear this a lot. You hear, hand sanitizers, customized facial mask, customized, face shield. I like the ones that have the glass, the sunglass, that have the eyeglass holder, like the shield, not the ones that have the headband, but the ones you could just put on like a sunglass, but it's like a full shield so that you can still see your face, you still beat for the gods. And also, another thing too, when you're having dinner, make sure that you order the towelettes, the sanitized towelettes, warm them up. Make sure that your staff or the caterer or the wait staff warm it up very well. And each staff has to go around on the table and hand those hand towelettes to them that are sanitized for them to wipe their hands thoroughly because it's warm already, and pick it right back up immediately and throw them straight into the trash. And then also make sure that they sanitize their hands as well too. If you're gonna get on the dance floor, we'll encourage that you put on the mask or shield. But if you want this to be really cute and pretty, customize those face masks to kind of to go according to the wedding colors and etc. And or have like a little, for the girls, have like a little flower off to the side, or you can have your logo, your crest for the wedding day. And another thing too, I just want to kind of add on to what Precious mentioned earlier when it comes out to decor. This is a question that I get a lot. Brides are so concerned with their weddings to look pretty, with it being so 6 feet apart, 12 feet apart, etc. I just want to show you guys something real quickly. I'm not sure if everybody can. This is a quick sketch. So let's just say you have to be 12 feet apart, right? Which is over here from this table to this table, and it looks like your space is scanty. When Precious mentioned about focal point, in addition to that of it being on your stage area or your ceremony area, make sure you also have focal point decor in between the tables to fill in the space nicely. So you can have additional focal points between the table. They can be like a tree, a big, beautiful arrangement, and that also converts into a photo op. And that can also substitute as well too, so that way you don't have to have large centerpieces on these tables. You can make them lush and low with lots of candles, but then you have this focal point between each of those feet, and people can go over there and take photos. It serves multiple purposes. When you walk into the room, it looks lush and beautiful inside the room as well too. We're still keeping that distance. It makes for a good background photo for selfies when people are sitting down, and the tables as well looks lush as well too. So I just want to quickly add on that as well.
All right, thank you so much. Just moving on really quickly. Shay, what is your advice for brides on how to stay excited about their wedding plans in this season?
Cool. So for me to stay excited, I totally agree with what Funke said. Like, it's not your fault. Please don't personalize what's going on, because it's nothing to do with you. But to stay excited, I think look at this as an opportunity. A lot of the things that you probably dreamt of are the way they are because somebody created that trend or somebody created that experience. This is your opportunity to literally make a wedding that is yours and own it. So stay excited by bouncing off ideas. You will have within your friend circles. This is what I've realized recently. A lot of brides have idea generators as friends. Like, use them. Not obviously in a bad way, but make sure that you're engaging your friends. Ask, what can I do? Also get a planner, because planners they understand what's going on. They deal with this every day in, day out. So they will understand and they'll be able to throw in ideas like immediately for you. So that will help you, I think, stay excited, because the more ideas you get, the more you start to look forward to the day and just be flexible. It's meant to be a fun day and a fun activity. It's not meant to be so stressful. So yeah, just try and do that. And also engage your partner. That's the biggest thing. Don't take it upon yourself as a bride. Engage your partner as well.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Because of time, we're going to go straight into the Q&A. And I'm just going to pick a couple of questions that I'm seeing here. Let's see. We have one. So Brianna says, my fiance is worried about the band idea is rude. How have people navigated not offending others or causing an unnecessary scene? I think, Chioma, you touched on this. Do you want to quickly add to this?
Of course. No, like just to tell Brianna, it's actually not rude. If you let people know ahead of time on your letter or your website that there's going to be communication bands available, or it's just a way for people to be able to let people know their comfort level. You're not enforcing the ban, but you're pretty much letting your guests know that, depending on, just tell everybody indirectly how you feel. Do you want them to come close to you? That you can put on red. Hey, you can dance around me, you can spend me money, you can do whatever. Yellow, still be a little bit conscious as you're coming around me. Red means that I don't want you to come around me. I'm still gonna be at the wedding, but I don't want you, I'm not comfortable with anybody getting so close to me. So waiting for a fight. So that's just for your guests to communicate with each other indirectly and to express their comfort level while they're at the wedding.
All right, thank you so much for that, Chioma. Next, Terera asked, Auntie Funke, do you think by next year we're going to get 500 plus people weddings?
Yeah, I think so. I think that by next year, yes. Maybe, depends on when next year you mean, maybe from April, but I think, I actually do think so. Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's quick and short and nice. Next, can we quickly go to Precious? Someone has asked, for those of us planning a wedding for early next year in the UK, actually the UK, sorry. So let's go to Shay for this. For those people planning a wedding early next year in the UK, is it risky to plan for a large number of people? Example, 150 to 200.
Oh, it's hard to say. I think that it's risky if you don't have a plan B. It's not risky by itself. And again, make sure you have a planner. But the only reason why I think it might happen is because if they are saying conferences are allowed to happen from October, then potentially 150 is not a big number. You will definitely have to have a lot of measures in place, like controlling number of people in the space. So again, I think it was Funke who said earlier about making sure that people know what time they're actually coming to the venue. But yeah, definitely have a plan B for a much smaller audience. I think 20-30 should be your guest list A, and then let that 150 be your if everything's okay type thing. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much for that, Shay. There are loads of questions asking about number of weddings, number of people weddings and when they can take place. I'm just going to take one more. Someone is planning to have a wedding at the end of the year, and it's for about 150 people. I'll go to Precious. Where you're based, what do you think about 150 people wedding at the end of the year?
I actually have a few people that have a lot of faith. They're not postponing yet, but I do think 150 is still risky. I'm basing it on how many people they're limiting for funerals, for example, because that's under gathering of people. So I think the safest number is to really, if you do want to have it in 2020, is to keep it 50 or less. Anything more than that, I do think it's a big number that you would probably have to cancel too close to the time, which is what a lot of people did when a lot of countries went into lockdown. So we went into lockdown in March, and I had weddings in April that I had to postpone instead of canceling, or instead of them, having 50 people or less, because that's the number that was allowed then. 150 is really too ambitious. I would say at the max 80 people, but also remember when they have a limit on numbers, it includes service providers as well. So if you're thinking 150, you have to think of everybody, the crew, everyone that will be working as well. That increases your numbers. It's a lot more people that are in one space at a time. So you still have to keep it very small in considering your photographer, the catering, your DJ, everybody that will be working through the wedding. So I don't think it's safe.
Okay, thank you so much for that. There's a question here, and I'm going to get one panelist, anyone, to answer this. Sherry says, so my question is, if you've paid a planner for a normal size wedding, and because of COVID, you've had to reduce the number of people, how can you manage that kind of situation, especially if you started making payments for vendors?
So is she asking whether or not, I guess because it's a smaller number of people, therefore...
Yeah, I think from a planning perspective, like a package, yeah.
Well, again, I know what she's going to say about this, but as planners, regardless of whether we're doing a wedding for 10 people or 150, 200 people, it's still the same amount of work. And again, she put something up on her Instagram yesterday talking about her parents. They had a second wedding or a vow renewal, whatever it was. You do the same amount of work regardless of the number of people. So to expect us to therefore charge a slightly lower fee, it just doesn't, it's not feasible really, because again, we still also, just because we've got 2 people, we'll still have to pay other members of staff. And so therefore, it's not just us getting paid, we're paying our assistants and et cetera, et cetera. So it's not advisable, and it's not something we would do, but I know, pass on to Chi.
So just to kind of add on to that real quickly, I did a wedding in Paris, was it last year, 2 years ago? It was a wedding of 2 people. And I thought, 2 people, I can just charge whatever. But when I tell you that the difference between producing a wedding of 2 people to 200 people is just only the guest count. That's it. So it was still a lot of work. I was still waking up very early, going to bed very late at night. It was still a big production, etc., even though it was just for 2 people. The only reason why I would consider reducing the price is not because of the guest count. I'm still going to be showing up and with my team producing that wedding of 10 people. It's still a lot of planning, still a lot of work, etc. The only reason why I will even consider reducing the pricing is if I don't have to bring in a lot of people to come and work the wedding that day. Both the planning process and then also the week of the wedding and then also the day of the wedding will be the only reason why I will consider That would be the only reason why I would consider not reducing my cost is if I can reduce down my people that are working the wedding day. But besides that, it's to the same amount of work. So the pricing typically doesn't change.
Thank you so much for adding on that, Chioma. I'm going to take another question, and there's not more coming up. Again, the panelists can type their answers to the questions, but I want to highlight this because it's really important, and it's piggybacking up what we're talking about at the moment. But someone has asked, what is the price, the budget for planning an intimate wedding? And I wanted to get your expertise on this, Magli, because you do a lot of intimate weddings. So some people think that planning an intimate wedding, oh, it's going to be cheaper, there's going to be less people. Is not always that the case. So can you shed more light on that budget for intimate weddings?
Definitely. There's hardly any differences really in terms of a big wedding and a small wedding. We've had weddings, small weddings, where it's 1,500 per head. And we, and for like 10 people, for instance, or for 20 people. So I think in terms of that, it always depends on what you want to get out of the wedding. Sometimes when you have a smaller wedding, you want to do more for you and for your guests. So that's where the prices tend to add up as well. Other things is to do with volume as well. Sometimes when you are buying things in bulk, things tend to be cheaper. Whereas if you're buying a small number, then the price of it tends to be higher. So you're not always going to get a cheaper price. And I know that there's an assumption that a smaller wedding often means a cheaper budget. That's not always the case. But it can be in certain circumstances, but you shouldn't lead with that. You can make some savings, but most of the time you will end up spending quite a number of money. I'm not saying that all of them are 1,500, by the way, because I don't want to give anyone heart attacks, online right now, all the brides. But just to let you know that the prices per head tend to increase the smaller numbers that you have. And that's what we found anyway.
All right, thank you so much. There are no more questions being asked at the moment, but the panelists can go through questions. Thank you so much. We have another panel session coming up, but before we let these lovely speakers go, I just want to say thank you so much. The comment session has been on fire. I've not been able to go through everything, but everyone is in agreement. Everyone is, getting all the information from you guys, and it's just really inspirational. Where can we find, every one of these panelists has their social media handles. We've been tagged on Get Wedding Ready. So please, I'm just going to get a nod. But if you have any more questions from the panelists, is it all right for the brides to send you a message via the contact details on your Instagram?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, Precious has said yes. I can see nod from Choma and Fumi and Magli and Shay. Yeah, Shay as well. Okay, and Funke as well. Okay, all right. Thank you. So you can find their handles on Instagram, and you can contact them if you have any questions, if you need them to plan your wedding. They'll be happy to help. So thank you to this amazing, lovely women who've graced the Bridal Brunch Summit. Thank you so much. We're going to take a quick break, 5 minutes break, so that you can get tea, get coffee, water, whatever you need. We'll be back by 10 past, whatever time zone, so 10 past, and we will start with the former bride panel. So thank you so much. I'm going to move all the panelists off now. Thank you so much. Bye. I know you're on mute, but yes, bye.
Sorry, bye. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye,
I wish I
Choma.
had enough time for the brides. I feel so bad, but I wish I had enough time, but hey, it's okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay,
bye, everybody.
Yeah, I'm going to move all the panelists now. Thank you so much. Thank you, Fumi. Thank you so much, Funke. Thank you, Magli. Thank you so much, Precious. Thank you, Shay. It's been amazing. Please stay on. It's now 4 minutes left before we go to our next panel session, which is going to be the former brides who are going to talk about their wedding planning experience and their marriage experience. And we are going to finish this webinar at 6 instead of 5:30. So please, apologies, 30 minutes more. But keep the conversations going. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to start reading your comments. If there's anyone who wants to come on video, raise your hand and let me know what you learned from this panel session. Let me just change those. So does anyone want to come on video to let me know what they've learned from this panel session? Oh, okay, we've got Shanique. All right. Hi, Shanique. So you can, yeah.
Okay, can you see me? Can you hear me? How does it work?
We can hear you, but we can't see you. Can you turn on your video? Yes, we can see you now.
Hello.
Oh, hello. Hi.
Hello, everyone. I don't know. Can everyone see me or just you?
Yeah, I can see you. I'm sure everyone can see you. Can you tell us where you're dialing in from?
Oh, I'm from London, but my wedding is in Jamaica. I had to postpone. It was supposed to be in November this year,
Yeah.
and I had to postpone it till May next year due to the fact that a lot of people didn't feel comfortable traveling. The restrictions weren't very clear, what countries you should self-quarantine from, how long, people have to go back to work. It was just a lot. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to postpone it, and fingers crossed, hopefully by that time, things will be a little bit better.
Okay.
But from the panel, there wasn't much information about destination wedding because it's so unclear to every different country that it's going to be in. So at the moment, I'm still just playing everything by ear. But what I found, just get my little notepad, that was right there.
I love it.
What I liked from what they said was about the health station. Even after COVID, people might still be worried about catching COVID, even from traveling. So I like the health section. She was talking about the temperature, the mask, the hand sanitizers, and the bands as well. I thought that was really good. So I'm going to make sure that for when I'm planning, I have a station that all of that is there for them. I also like that when, I don't remember who said it, I think it was Auntie Funke, when she said lower expectations. I think that's really good because we expect that everyone's going to be there, everyone's going to support, but a lot of time you're going to find that you won't get that. So you just need to plan for yourself, plan for your wedding, and just be happy about what you're doing, and just hope that everybody else support you. But no matter what, just be happy with what you're doing, because you don't want to keep getting disappointed by people not being able to make it or whatever. You're just plan your wedding and be happy with it. Who wants to come, who can't come, but you're gonna have a great day regardless. So
I love that.
Yeah, I like that.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I think there's one more person who I'm going to add. Thank you so much. And yeah, thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, one more person, and we're going to start the next panel session. Please keep being engaging in the chat comment box. I love it. Let's see. We've got lovely, so please raise your hands as we go along, please, so I can see you. I think there's someone who wants to come on video. 1 second, and then we'll start this panel session. Yeah, we'll get going. I don't want to butcher your name. Shayoban, are you there?
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Hi, I'm good, how are you?
I'm doing well. Can you tell us where you're dialing in from?
From Essex.
Nice, nice. And can you tell us a little bit more about your wedding and what you've gotten from the panel session?
So we were due to get married in May of this year, and then we postponed very early on in lockdown. So as soon as Boris announced, he was like, yeah, I think we need to postpone. So we moved it to August, thinking that, you know, August will be fine, you know, we'll be able to have our number. And then turns out that it wasn't the case when he came out with the 30. So we've been communicating with our guests via our website, and we've decided to do our civil ceremony in August, just so we can start our lives together. And then we're gonna do our big wedding next year, so our families can come together. So.
All right. I'm sorry for butchering your name. I'm Nigerian. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
How do you pronounce your name?
Siobhan.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, but I just go, like, people call me Shiv. So yeah,
okay,
Siobhan.
Siobhan, thank you so much for that.
Okay.
Yeah, and all the best with your wedding plans. Thank you. All right, lovely to see your face. All right,
yeah,
bye.
bye.
Okay, so we're going straight to the former bride panel. And I'm going to get our former brides to quickly, give me 1 second. So I'm just going to show you who you're speaking to right now. So you've spoken to, so next we have this lovely, lovely former brides. We've got Abike, we've got Phoebe, Persa, Dami, and Fatima. We've got someone who's been married. I mean, I'll let them introduce themselves, but I just wanted to show you who you're speaking to. So I'm going to start with Abike. Please, can you introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. Good to see you guys on here. It's an honor to be here. Thank you, Laura. My name is Abike Abu. and I've been married 10 years now. So yeah, it's an honor to, thank you. It's an honor to be here.
All right, amazing. Next, can we get Phoebe?
Hi, everyone. I can't see everyone. I wish I could, but yeah, good to be here. Good to be here. Thank you so much, Wura, for letting me, for inviting me for this. I'm really glad. My name is Phoebe, the bride from 4 years ago, almost 4 years now. PDA 16. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah.
Okay, you forgot two vital things. Your wedding was 1,000 guests, and you had 11 artists perform at your wedding.
When we get there, I'll talk more about the wedding.
Yeah, thank you very much. Can we go to Parisa, please? Oh, can you unmute yourself? Sorry.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi guys, my name is Parisa Aromi. I've been married now for almost 10 months, and I guess the reason Wura got me in here is because my wedding was 18 guests.
Yeah. And can you tell us how many guests was at your traditional?
Around 250, 300, but my white wedding was 18.
Okay, amazing. And we're going to go into that. Can we have Dami next, please?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Damilola. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. I'm Damilola Ajayi. I got married about 2 months ago now, post lockdown, and I'm very glad to be here. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to share my wedding planning experience with people as we go. I'm going to talk a lot more about how we got into planning the wedding considering COVID.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. And last but not least, we have Fatima Boyd. Can you introduce yourself, lovely?
Hi, ladies. I'm so honored to be here. I cannot wait to chat with you ladies about wedding planning and being a part of this process because we're all in this struggle together. I am a 2020 bride. I postponed my wedding twice. So this date that I have now is going to be my third wedding date. And I'm just glad to have some girl time because of COVID. We can't spend time together. So it's good to be here.
Thank you so much. All right, so we're just going to go straight into this session. I'm going to start with Abike. How was your wedding planning experience when you got married? What are your top tips from your experience to brides?
Okay, I'm going to try and be quick. I am known as a talker. It was obviously pre-Instagram, which I'm grateful for, to be honest, in hindsight. Just a sidebar, I am a bridal hairstylist at the same time. So I am my hand is on the pulse with what's going on with brides and what you guys are experiencing, because I get to spend probably the most intimate morning of your life really close up with you. So wedding planning back then was very stressful because I wanted a really pretty wedding, and 10 years ago my budget was very limited. So I was determined to have pretty on a budget, and I had a very strict design. It was England, it was winter, and it was dark. So we had an evening wedding. But I would say the one thing I would do differently, and I tell this to all my friends, Bruce, you'll probably testify that I've said this, and I say to all my brides, is stop stressing. Stop stressing the small thing. That's the one thing I would do different, is that week leading up to the wedding, I would not have stressed as much as I did and ended up taking it out on my husband and just stressing myself out. That's the one thing I would do different. You're muted, Wura.
All right, yeah, thank you so much for that. Next, we're going to move to Phoebe. How was your wedding planning experience, and what is your top tips for brides?
Hi, everyone. My wedding planning experience for 1,000 guests. I'm sure you know it was hectic. But I thank God I had a very good planner. There's no way I would have done this without a planner. And there were so many experiences, I had to document it in the book. So yeah, I'm also the author of the Mr. Mrs. book. I hope a couple of people have heard about it and bought it as well. If I could change anything, maybe from my husband's point of view, actually, because he wanted a balcony wedding and he didn't get that. So more like compromising more. But we kind of still made it intimate. So that was the brief that we gave to our planner. It was, yeah, I wanted a large guest. I wanted to be the princess of the day, obviously. But my husband wanted a balcony wedding. So we had to make the wedding still intimate. And funny enough, the plan actually helped to achieve that brief. Talking about stress, yeah, I think I would have let a lot of things go, because I found out while I was also writing my book is that a lot of brides had similar experiences. There are not many things that can change. So why would you stress, you know? Just enjoy your day. So that's what I would say. I wouldn't stress. I wouldn't have anxiety. I'll just go have fun, enjoy my day. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
All right, no worries. Thank you for that. And sorry, how do you make 1,000 guest wedding intimate?
Trust me, when we gave the planner that brief, we thought it was impossible, but for some reason, we still had that intimacy. I think we had our space, so there was that parent time, and when everyone comes to dance, pray. It was in Nigeria, people flew from all over the world. So yeah, we had that moment where it was for everybody, and then we had a moment where it was just us and our friends, down till like 12 a.m. So we still have everything that we wanted. We still had our space, we still had our time, we still had everything that we wanted in that wedding. So yeah, so that's what the planner did. We felt that intimacy, and thank God we had that good plan as well.
Okay, and Choma is still on, and she's saying you can create an intimate feel with your layout. Love that. Yes, you can. Next, we're going to move to Perisa as well. Can you tell us about your wedding planning experience and your top tips for brides?
Well, my wedding planning experience was incredible because from the start, we decided that we wanted an intimate wedding, and planning a wedding for 18 guests was incredible, and we got the chance to have quality over quantity. Coming from, my husband is from Ivory Coast and I'm from Jamaica, so coming from a African Caribbean background, when you tell your family, oh, we're having a small wedding, that's almost very much unheard of. So I would say the stress came from telling people that it's not going to be a big wedding. But apart from that, it was so smooth. We had the most incredible day. And what you guys may not know was Abike was actually my hairstylist, and Abike is my husband and I, Abike and her husband is my husband and I's mentor. So it's great to have her on today. So in terms of wedding planning tips, I would recommend is stay in your lane. I know Abike mentioned that, she got married pre-Instagram, which is a blessing. And I think a lot of couple get caught up in the Instagram hype, getting caught up in trying to have their wedding as someone else. But I believe you should make it personal to yourselves and think about, okay, what do we really want? Do we want to have a wedding from my favorite influencer, or do you want to have a wedding that suits you and your husband? So I would say just stay in your lane and do what makes you happy, I would say.
Okay, thank you so much for that. I'm gonna go quickly to Dami. What are your tips on planning a wedding during the pandemic?
Wow. Well, I would say just cut your coat according to your material now. The material we have now is COVID in town. Okay, initially I was going to have an intimate wedding with a larger crowd of 150. And then when COVID came in, we had to re-strategize and then go back to the plan. Then we thought about it. The people we really need here are just our parents, strictly parents, and then friends that are close. Friends that they've been in the know of the relationship from the start. So we went ahead to inform every other people that considering in fact, most people already started calling in. Immediately COVID came that they won't be available to come for the wedding. People were scared, everyone was terrified. We didn't know what turn it was going to take. So it was just easier to cut down the guest list considering what was happening at the time. So we had pretty intimate wedding. We spoke to our vendors because most of the venue especially, the venue we were going to use was a garden that was intimate. So it was easier to forge ahead considering that location. We weren't going to have the wedding in the hall or maybe in the church where we would have to go through a lot of precautions and a lot of preparations. So we just spoke with them at the garden. Is it okay to have a wedding now since the intensity of the outbreak wasn't as much? And they told us it was fine. And we just came. We called the vendor. We called the event planner, who was the main person. She was the main person with the know-how of the event. So we called her and then we spoke about it. When it was time to forge ahead, we just informed our parents, we are ready, the coast is clear, and that was it.
Okay, thank you. And we've got Fatima next. Can you quickly tell us how your tips on planning a wedding during this pandemic?
My best advice on planning a wedding during the pandemic is really find yourself throughout this process. I feel like I've grown as a woman throughout this process. When you first get engaged, you go crazy. You think about being a princess and being the top of the line, like Teresa said, you know, but you have to really figure out what matters to you so that way you can make great decisions, because sometimes we make decisions off of emotions, off of impulse, your family taking your head, you know, going crazy. But when you really learn yourself, like, what matters to me? Like, some women, they want to go get married right now. That's your dreams. That's what you want to do. You want to have your husband. So just making sure that you have a priority about what's important to you, so that when you look back and you postpone or you just go get married, it was a decision that you made, not your family, not Instagram, not your wedding planner. It's something that you have to live with, because when all of this is over, we're going to look back and be like, did I do this for me? So I feel like just being you and standing up and being a woman and making sure that what you want matters and it happens.
I love that. Thank you so much. Real positivity. What we're going to do is that we're going to quickly touch on marriage, just because one of our guest speakers has to shoot off at 5:30. So we're going to quickly go through marriage, get Abike's wisdom, and then we'll go through the wedding planning, and then we'll call it a day. So how has marriage been for you, Abike? What has it been first? 10 years of marriage.
It's been 10 years married. It's been wonderful. I'm not going to lie. It's gotten better with each year. The first year for me was the hardest. We didn't date very long. We dated for I've known him for 7 months when he proposed, and we got married a year after that. No, I wasn't pregnant. We just kind of were ready and we did it. You just know when you know, right? So I would say, whilst wedding planning is quite consuming and it is very important, it is something by God's grace you'll do only once in your life, I would say try and simultaneously plan for marriage at the same time, because a lot of women plan for wedding and they don't plan for marriage. And I would say just build on purpose. That's my main thing I would say, is when you're building a house, you don't just randomly throw bricks everywhere, just randomly. You have a plan, you have a layout, and each brick is strategically being placed. And that's what we try to do. Do we get it right every time? Course not, but thankfully we are both committed to the same cause, and God is 100% the center of us and our marriage. So yeah, I would say that I did do a Bella Nijawa for a long 60-minute talking about this, so I can't go into all that right now, but if you do want to see that, it's on there. But yeah, I mean, it's not perfect. Don't aim for perfection, aim for purpose. And that comes to when you're raising your children and everything, just aim for purpose. Everything is on purpose. When you shout at him, you're shouting at him on purpose. It has a repercussion. Choose your battles. Not everything is a fight. Like if the toilet roll holder is empty, like just throw it in the bin. Like it's not that deep. Like those are the kind of things that I've learned.
I love that.
Things that I thought about when I was in year one. Like, what are you doing? Why can't you put the toilet up? But you now turn the whole atmosphere. It's just because of what? Please just choose your battles. Yeah. The ones you can deal with, the ones that you need to address, talk it out, and move on. But yeah, on purpose.
I love that. I'm just going to keep you on because I know you're going to leave. And the next question.
No. We're stop apologizing. It's fine.
Okay. What is the secret to a happy marriage?
The secret to a happy marriage is to be happy intentionally. So nobody wakes up and they're like, oh my God, we've been married 45 years. It's just been paradise. Nobody has that. The secret to a happy marriage for me, I will tell you, and not to be like a Bible basher, is God for us. And he literally is the center. The Holy Spirit is like my counselor. If I need to address a big issue, I'm not talking toilet paper, I'm talking like a big issue. Yeah. I would actually be like, Holy Spirit, help me for the right words to say, the right time. And sometimes I'll hear, not now. Don't bring it up now, because he knows what I don't know. He knows what's going on in his son that I can't see. So he will give me that counsel and he'll tell me now, do it now. Yeah. And I would do that, and not to deep it. I'm just telling you what I do, like on a daily basis. I think be the judge of yourself, and critique yourself, and be like, okay, Abike, how could I have done that better? Was that the best way to say it? Don't strive to imitate anybody else. Like nobody is my marriage goals apart from like me. Sorry. Learn from who you can learn from. 100%. My goal was I had people who had been married longer than me that were constantly speaking into me. And when I would go to them, I'd be like, Auntie, blah, blah, blah. They were like, okay. You know, those were the kind of things that were very, very helpful to our marriage. And he had the same. If one person is working on something and the other person's not working on it, you will never grow. You will never, but it's both of you together consciously doing it. And when you have a meltdown and a breakdown and things are not great, don't stop there and build a camp around it. Pick up, what can we learn from this? What went wrong? Where did the disconnect happen? Let's fix it, let's move, let's go. We're building an empire here and we're gonna do it right. Not for the gram, you're not doing it for the gram, you're doing it for your legacy, for your children, for your destiny. Without rambling, that's it.
I love that. And before you go, I have one final question. So you're a bride and hairstylist, you've got 2 beautiful kids, you're a wife, you know, how do you balance all this? Your advice to brides who are looking to take on the role?
Yeah, to be honest, you are going to wear many hats. This is going to sound very controversial, but I think for us, what was helpful was we didn't jump straight into having kids, because wife is not the same thing as mother, okay? And you have to operate those 2 roles simultaneously. Most people, especially culturally, you know, from the day you get engaged, they're like, where are the children? Where are the children? Just chill on that. Focus on building your unit as the 2 of you. If you've already had a baby, whatever, it's fine, you'll carry on. But for us, what was helpful is building our unit of the husband and wifeness, which continually is being built, before we interjected the new roles of mother and father, because those 2 things are being done simultaneously. At the moment, my business, I am a hairstylist, but I have a whip about a business that's doing so well, and it's been the craziest 2 weeks of my life. And you know what, there are days where I just have to switch off, and I said that to my kids. I was like, Mommy's not doing any Bixie Pots this weekend. They're like, you're not working? I said, no, I'm here for you. And we focused, and I put literally switching off everything and focusing on what's important at the time when it's your children. Like right now, their dad's taking them out. I said, I need 2 hours. Like, Mommy wants to put some makeup on and come on and talk to some women, like whatever. And he's done that because we're a unit and we try and sync together. But you do have to compartmentalize. Everything else is secondary. My first thing is wife and mother. That's me personally. And it has helped me to be able to compartmentalize those things. Wife is not mother. 2 different things.
I love that. Thank you so much, Abby. I know you have to shoot, but it's just been amazing. Comment in the section if you want an IG live from Abike, since she didn't finish this session and she has to comment so we can take.
You know what? I will stick around until the children come back, but I told him that, you know, they're loud. I'll stick around until they come back. So yeah, right. IG live. Whoa, go to bed. That's on there already.
All right. Thank you so much. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move back to wedding planning a little bit, because just for the brides, and I'm going to move to Pirsa. So talking on intimate weddings, how did you cut the size of your wedding down? How did you choose who to attend that small intimate wedding? You're mute.
All right. Sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I think before we go into who we choose, I believe it's how we got to that decision, and I think a lot of brides could take this on board, is to ask yourself the question and to really question your motive in terms of why you want to get married initially. It's just thinking, do you want a wedding or do you want to be married? And that was what we led on to, because you know, a lot of brides get caught up into, you know, the whole glam side of things and forget the foundations and forget the reason why you want to do it in the first place. And that's what my husband and I we decided from the start, is we want to be married. We just don't want the wedding. If it was just 2 of us, we'll be fine. So we were very intentional from the start. And that's why it was such an easy decision for us to make when it comes down to choosing 18 guests. So your question is, how did we choose 18? We just decided that we wanted immediate family. So that would be parents and siblings. And after the parents and siblings, we chose our best friends, who was Will's best man and groomsman, and just 2 other friends. And it was incredible. We wanted people there that would stand up at any moment and say something about us. Everyone in that room knows about our story. Everyone in that room knows and loves us. And that was what behind it. We, you know, I've been to weddings where, you know, the bride and groom don't even know the guests. Sometimes the guests don't even know who the bride and groom is. And we wanted that intimacy. We didn't want, we wanted to feel the love. We wanted to feel that intimacy, and we got just that.
I'm on mute, sorry. Thank you so much for that. And I think I want to dive a bit more in the sense that, so a lot of people have huge families, and that 18 can probably just be one side of the family for a bride or a groom. So for brides who are on here who come from a large family, like you said you do as well, what is your advice on getting that number down? Like, who you said immediate families, you said everyone that, you know, is in the room can say something about you, but what other tips can you give to brides looking like, oh my gosh, how am I going to get this number down if I want to get married, you know, immediately?
Wow, that is a good question. It's not an easy decision, I tell you that, but you just have to stand firm in pretty much what you want, because I know no matter what you do, whether you do a big wedding or whether you do a small wedding, at some point someone will be offended because of your decision, or be offended because of whatever decision you make, like during your wedding. So I would say in terms of tips is just literally just make that decision with your husband and say, this is what we're going to do. And we just like explain to our family and friends that, you know, we're a young couple, like we didn't want to start marriage in debt, and we just wanted something, because we wanted to start and set up our marriage on a really great foundation. We didn't want to get married and then the next day we're sleeping on the floor, or the next day we can't afford to get somewhere nice. Like we didn't want to go in marriage, like, you know, like with financial issues. And our parents, like our family, understood that. This is what's best for us. So in terms of my tip, it's just a matter of just it's just a matter of just like, you know, being firm in your decision, and just explaining to your family and friends that, you know, this is what we decide on, because either way people will get offended.
Okay, I love that. Thank you so much. I can see Dami, I agree with you there. Dami, can you shed some light on how you decided on your, I believe you had 30 guests in total at your wedding post-lockdown.
Yeah, we did. Our situation is quite similar to previous. It was all about what we wanted. Initially, we wanted it intimate, but then with a larger crowd, like I mentioned. But considering COVID, we just had to sit back and reason, what do we really want? We wanted to get married with people who knows about us, people who know about us, who were part of our relationship, people who were part of our journey. And then we went back to the drawing board. Okay, who are the people that needs to be here? First, the parents, then our pastors, and our friends, intimate friends. So that was it.
All right, thank you so much for that. Phoebe, we are going to go to you quickly. And I wanted to ask you on your advice on ensuring that the groom is on the same page, and, you know, like fights, like, you know, during wedding planning, how couples tend to fight a lot, they're not on the same page. So you've written a book. I want to get your experience on how to make sure that you communicate clearly and the groom is on the same page with you, and you can have, you know, a fun wedding planning experience together.
Absolutely, Laura, that's such an important question. I think it's very important for us to discuss that. And funny enough, it's like a whole topic in my book as well. Whatever it is, the truth is, you will have arguments with your groom because it's two different people coming together. You have your own priorities, he has his own priorities. Like I said earlier in my case, my husband didn't even want a big wedding. Do you understand? So we have to find ways that we would compromise, different ways basically. So I think one was the approach. How do you call him and tell him, see babe, see, this is what I want, okay, this is what you want, you know, explaining to him in a very, very calm and respectful way, because you're literally starting the marriage from the wedding planning process. So you need to communicate in a very subtle, you know, wise way, not just saying, hey, go do this now, that's your business. No, you know, you really need to also understand his needs and understand why he wants that. So that's very important. Two, was praying together. I don't know if, I'm sure there are Muslims here and Christians here as well. Whichever way you can pray together, please do. Every single day of the wedding planning process, we pray together. So when you know that at least you're in sync spiritually, every other thing physically would fall in place. Even when vendors, picking your vendors and every other thing. We pray together even with our bridal party every single day. A lot of things will go wrong. So praying together helps you somewhat be on the same wavelength as well. So when all these things come up, you know, it's not so bad, you know, arguments, and of course you have misunderstandings, but it won't be so bad that you now start to keep malice and not talk to each other, start asking for a break. Because I've heard, you know, we have counseling sessions as well, myself and my husband, and we hear things of people saying, oh, please, I want a break just because of our share. It doesn't call for that, you know. So honestly, I think when you pray together and you really understand, so I wanted a big wedding. My husband understood why. He wanted a small wedding. I understood why, and then we were able to come to a compromise. Ashwebi and all those things, you know, I didn't even have Ashwebi for my wedding, you know, so we just told everybody to wear white. For the white wedding, we told everybody to wear anything glittery, you know, so those things we were able to just come to a compromise. But that's because we were on the same wavelength spiritually. So it was a lot easier for us, and I understood most of, you know, his thought process. Same for me as well.
Thank you so much for that, Phoebe. I'll come back to that on when I go back to marriage. Fatima, I wanted to get your feedback on planning a wedding with your fiance as well. Like, how have you managed to, I think it says, stay on the same wavelength? Like, what has been your experience been?
My greatest experience planning my wedding with my fiance is we just have good conversations. So before we make a decision, it's not just, okay, so what are we going to do? We just talk about it. We play it all the way through, you know, say, especially like honeymoon. Okay, do we want spend $5,000 on a photo booth, or do we want a nice honeymoon? It's just important to understand his views and my views so that we can compromise, because certain things are important to me. If it was up to my fiance, we would have been married the next day after we got engaged, but he knows that's important to me. So with me expressing myself and not just holding it in, he gets to understand, like, okay, he's actually going to go forth with the wedding and wait to postpone as many days as I want to because he loves me. So just opening up, because sometimes as women, we don't want to get all emotional. We try to act like we're strong, you know, but I really expressed how I felt about the wedding, and that I didn't just want to go to the courthouse to be married. I told him that this is important to me. I want to see his face when I walk down the aisle. So now that he knows how to calm down, and we are on the same page.
I love that. I love that. Thank you so much. And what we're going to go back to a little bit. So I'm going to the marriage wedding, just to create a flow here. And the next tip I have is the next question I have is on intimate weddings quickly. So I'm going to go to Perissa quickly. What are your top tips on planning an intimate wedding? You're mute, by the way.
Sorry to keep muting myself. So my top tips in planning an intimate wedding, I'll just go based on what my husband and I did. I think the most important thing is before we decided, we made sure that we prayed, because it's just something, because you don't always want to do things in your own strength, because in the natural, it may seem like, oh, we can't do this. And we just had to make sure. So what we did, we prayed about it first, and then we sought wise counsel, because as I said before, Abike and her husband Kabiru, during our engagement process, they were our accountability partner. They were our mentors. They still are. And we presented it to them, and we seek wise counsel in terms of that. And the other top tip is write a list of who do you actually know, who knows you, who knows your story. So what we did, we wrote a long list, and then we started crossing out. Said, we haven't seen this person in 2 years. We haven't seen this person in a year. Did they even congratulate us when we got engaged? So then we went through everything, and we realized that these are the people that we actually wanted. And in terms of the other tips in planning on an intimate wedding is also think about your budget. Because I'd mentioned we wanted quality over quantity, and automatically when a lot of people hear small intimate wedding, they think cheap. No, we wanted an amazing experience. We wanted our guests to experience
nothing like like they've ever experienced before, and which they did. So instead we put our money towards having a quality experience for us and our guests. We didn't want to compromise on anything. I didn't want to compromise on flowers because that's my thing. I absolutely love it. Abike's husband Kibira, he does amazing suits. So for example, he did Will's suits. Like, we wanted a luxurious experience, and we managed to do that with a small number of guests.
Okay, and we touched on this with the other panel session, but with the intimate wedding, would you say your budget wasn't any different?
No, my budget wasn't any different. Then I wouldn't say, obviously budget is very subjective, but I would say my budget wasn't any different than if I should have a 200 or 300 guest wedding. Yes.
Yeah. And sorry, just to pat on this, what elements would you say accounted to the most of your budget for this intimate wedding?
I would say the venue. I would say the venue and the flowers for sure. Who knew flowers were so expensive?
You had real flowers.
Yeah, we had real flowers, which literally every part of the venue wanted that real flowers. I wanted an installation. Like, I was very adamant in terms of what I wanted. But the venue, and I remember someone said that the smaller amount of people, the cost per head. And for example, our cost per head was maybe £300 per head or something. So whereas I've seen venues when it's longer and you get £40 per head. However, it was the venue, the food, and also the flowers, I would say, that cost the most when we got married.
All right. Okay. I'll come to saving tips, because I know you have an amazing saving tip with your wedding dress. I'll come to that later. Thank you very much for that. So we'll have 10 more minutes on this panel session, because I want everyone to be gone at 6 p.m. because I don't want to keep you too long. So I'm just going to wrap up quickly. I'm going to go to Dami. I'm planning a wedding during the pandemic. How did you ensure that your wedding was safe?
Okay. We basically took the precaution at the time, which was hand sanitizers, nose mask, and then ensuring washing of hands at the venue entrance. Then we had securities to make sure that people who weren't invited were not allowed into the venue. Those were the basic things we did. Hello? Did you get that?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah. So you said face masks, you said hand sanitizers.
Hand sanitizers, hand washing, the bucket for hand washing, and then we ensured that the securities didn't allow people who were not invited into the venue. So everyone wanted to watch, they just hang around, because there was a gate into the venue. So the gate was locked, and
that's quite a good tip, that, you know what, security for people who are not invited, because some people might try it.
Yes, people did. People tried.
Wow.
Trust Nigerians. But then it was just, we just told the security, just speak to them politely, tell them we are going to allow them in at some point. But then it was as brief as possible. So at the time they were supposed to come in, we were already leaving the venue. So
so your wedding was how long in total? Like, how many hours?
Okay, for the traditional part was done in the morning in the house, in the living room. It wasn't up to an hour.
Yeah.
And then let us say an hour for the joining. So what took the time was our pictures. We had enough time to take pictures. So, because our joining, we didn't sit down at all. Everything was done while we were standing. It was that fast. We wanted it as fast as possible because we needed to leave. So after the joining, we took pictures, and then that was it. Everyone went with their souvenir bag that has their food inside.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. So you have souvenir bags for people to take food away.
Yeah,
that's quite a good tip for any brides planning to, get married in this season. I wanted to touch a little bit on this as well. Did you have social distancing, or was everyone negative at the wedding?
Yes, there was. We had just 30 seats, and there was 2 centimeter spacing between them. So it was 5, 15, and that was 30.
Okay, and I think the last question I have for you is, how did you still, because your pictures, guys, her wedding hashtag, I can't pronounce it, is really long, but I will, it's on my Instagram.
It's Awan.
Can you type it into the comments when we're done, so people can actually see how beautiful your wedding is? You wouldn't even think it was a wedding during this season. So my question is, and you look so happy, like the picture when he picked you up. So how did you stay happy during this whole process, knowing that you probably weren't having the wedding of your dreams? You had to have all this washing of hand sanitizers. How did you stay happy?
Well, I had a lot of reasons not to be happy, really. till the morning of the wedding. I had so many reasons that was about to like soil my day and then make me unhappy. But then one thing was constant: this joy of marrying somebody I love, who loves me, and that was it. That was what kept me up on my feet. And then, regardless of everything happening, I knew I'm getting married to somebody I love, someone I want to be with, someone who wants to be with me, and that was enough for me.
Okay, my last question based on this segment is, what made you decide to have the wedding when the lockdown was lifted rather than waiting to have your 150 wedding later on?
Oh, well, I think it was the initial idea that I wanted an intimate wedding. That was just it. I wanted something really intimate. Even considering the 150 guests we were going to have initially, that wasn't really so of me. It was this factor of parents, brothers, siblings invited. So when COVID came, it's time to have the wedding. It was just natural for me to cut it down to that number of guests. It was natural because I wanted something pretty intimate, really, really intimate. And when it was time to cut it down, it was really easy to cut it down. And it was same for my husband as well. We wanted something intimate. We just have to allow 150 for the sake of parents, families, being Nigerians. A lot of people would want to come in. That was why we gave out the spaces of having 150. So when COVID came and then we had every reason to cut it down, it was just easier for us to cut it down.
Hey, thank you so much. Guys, we're almost coming to an end, but please use the Q&A box if you have any questions for any of the panelists. Please keep commenting. Let us know what you've enjoyed during this period. I've been seeing some amazing comments of you agreeing with the panelists. Please keep them coming. And I've been seeing a lot of tags on Instagram. I haven't opened it, but keep sharing. And when this is done, I'm going to repost everything. I'm going to go to Fatima quickly. So you've postponed your wedding not once, but now twice. Can you talk about how you've stayed positive through all of it?
Staying positive is keeping my head clear, because when you go on Instagram and you see everybody getting married and they're having their day, it just puts me in the mindset of, if we can get through this before our marriage, imagine how strong our marriage will be. You're going to have ups and downs. Things aren't going to go the way they're planned, and that's just the way that life goes. Like, all of us, we believe in God and we know that He's covering us and that this is the person I'm meant to go through this journey with. So it just actually has made our future union stronger, because I know that He's beside me and nothing can tear us apart. No matter how many times we have to postpone our wedding, that's going to be the man of my dreams. It's going to still be my day. I'm going to wake up, get ready, my dress. I'm going to remember when I cried. It's like, you're still going to have to daydream. You have to think about it, look at new stuff. I changed my honeymoon destination. It's like things, whatever you have to do to get yourself in that moment, do not let the devil steal your joy, because it's ordained for you. And I just feel like, well, maybe that wasn't a day that God chose for me. Maybe my third day is what He had ordained, because as the type of person I am, I'm very controlling. I want to be engaged in 3 years. I wanted my wedding, so He's just like, taking away you. This is all my show. And I just gave it to God.
I love that. Like, energy fireball. I love it. The positivity that radiates from you, honestly, is infectious. I love it. And I think I'm going to hold you on. I've got one more question for you on so you postponed your wedding. Talk to us about how you felt the first time and how you changed yourself to this positivity that you're showing right now. Because it wasn't like this in the beginning, was it?
The first time I postponed, I had a lot of people. It wasn't what I felt. It was people coming to me like, well, maybe do you think like this is a sign? It just really showed me the way people are going to attack you when you're the most vulnerable. So I formed a wall around myself, and I'm protecting my future, so that when I give people that access to me, I'm strong enough to handle it, that no matter what anybody says, I know that this is the man that I deserve to be with. So I had to think about it. The world is not attacking me. God is not telling me, that this is not the person I'm supposed to be with. Maybe I should just go get married. No, I knew since I was a little girl that I wanted a big wedding. So why would I let people on the outside or this pandemic or COVID ruin what I had planned, So it's just something that you just have to be very, very strong and secure your village and have the people around you keep you strong, and don't let anyone else in, because you will truly see who's for you and for your husband.
Okay, and last question for this postponement wedding segment. What are you doing to keep yourself busy and positive in this period?
Oh my God, I stay on Instagram. All the Instagram wedding blogs, I'm on them. So if you guys send me your wedding, everybody, and I just really focus myself into the little details, because before I was getting married in January, in April, the seasons have changed. I've changed my colors. The girls don't have green dresses anymore. They're black. Everybody has to wear black dresses. I'm changing things. I'm adding things because I don't want to sell myself short. Like Grace told me, she's like, quality over quantity. I don't care who's going to be there. I will send you the video. My videographer, I've had a lot of money for him and all the hours. So just give me your email. We'll send you the video. Well, you can act like you were there. You'll see the same exact moment. But I'm just spending my time into focusing on my day, because no matter how far it gets pushed back, that's my day and I'm not going to get it back.
I love that. A lot of people are agreeing with you in the comments saying, yeah,
yes, that's your day.
So true.
Period.
Dami as well. Someone says you have a beautiful hashtag. Someone is saying thank you, Dami. So yeah, people are going in on the comments. I love it. Someone says, yes, honey. I think you're bringing yes. in all of us.
Yes, the devil cannot steal your shine. We've all found the person that we want to be with. This is a privilege. This is an honor. A lot of people don't even get a chance to find the love of their life, and we're engaged and we're planning our wedding. So why would you let anybody stop your shine? Like, this is an honor. This is only from God.
I love it. Oh, thank you for that. So I'm going to go quickly to marriage, and I'm just going to go to Phoebe and Perissa quickly. How has marriage been for both of you? I'll start with Phoebe. And what are your top tips on preparing for marriage? You're on mute. Okay.
Okay, yes. So for me, I'll just say, just like I think I've said it a couple of times on my Instagram page, before marriage, I thought I was the best cook in the world. I had, there was a game that was trending about wife material. I think in that game I scored like 1,000,000%, so I got into marriage and I realized that it's nothing about how well you can cook and how well you can clean the house and those kind of things. I had to learn in the marriage that marriage is between three people, you, your husband, and God. And so for us, our standard is God and what He says in His word. We had times, I was with my husband for about 9 years before we got married. And in the marriage, I'm still learning a lot about him, You have moments like when I was pregnant, I was a different person entirely. So he started learning about a new Phoebe. And then he's had moments as well where I'm just like, oh, this is a new Dami as well, So whatever the case, just ensure that you're flexible. You have mentors as well. So our marriage in fact, we are now into counseling because of the things that we have seen in our marriage as well. Ensure that you have mentors, good counsel mentors, not just Instagram people that flaunt pictures up and down, because a lot of people that take pictures are not really what they are. So you need to be sure that these people are enjoying their marriage and they know the rights, and wrongs in marriage. So for us is basically ensuring that your marriage has a standard. You're willing to be. For me, we give a lot to each other. What we've learned in our marriage is I'm going to give all I have to you, all I am to you, regardless of if you do your part or not. So we don't look at each other. If my husband is buying me flowers or not, I'm still going to be happy and I'm still going to make him happy. It's not as easy to say, because we had to learn this in the marriage. So yeah, I think looking at a lot of having high expectations from other people is what really spoils things in marriage. You were in a relationship before, you knew your husband very well before you got married. So sometimes when you get married, different things that people tell you start to change who you are and who your husband is. There are only 3 people in the marriage, like I said, and just ensure that you have really good mentors that can guide you. Mentorship is one thing that has worked in my marriage, and the fact that we have only one standard, and that's God. So there's nothing that any other person can tell me about, oh, this worked for me. Well, that's fine. That's you and your husband. Do you understand? So we have our own standard, and marriage can be sweet, guys. Marriage is amazing if you guys both put in the work. It's sweet, it's amazing if you both put in the work. So that's basically it for me. Have God, have your own standard. You and your husband, keep giving your best to your husband. It's not about cooking and cleaning, because if you see the list of meals that I was writing down before I got married, okay, this is what I want to do. It's not about that at all. There's a lot of submission. There's a lot of putting your partner first, even when you don't feel like. But when you do, the good, the peace, the fun friendship that comes out of it is just so amazing. So those are the things that have worked out for us. And I'll just be open to anyone, you know, if you want to talk about anything marriage, concerning what you and your partner are currently going through, feel free to hop on our Instagram page. Myself and my husband are always responsive, you know, to DMs that we get about people having difficulties, especially in this wedding planning stage as well. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. Brianna says that was deep. Thank you, Phoebe. Fatima, I guess, is responding to someone, but she said that was deep. No, that was, you may shake but never fail. I love that. And then someone says, Fatima as well, says, yes, God is the only standard. Thank you so much. Yeah, have faith. I love that. I love that. So we're going to end quickly, just 5 more minutes. I just want to encourage everyone to please put their questions in the Q&A. We're just going to have 10 minutes for Q&A. Like we did the last time, wave your hand if you have any questions on planning a wedding in this season, postponing your wedding, we have Fatima, intimate weddings, we have Perisa and Dami, you know, and marriage, we have Phoebe. So please get your question in, because we're wrapping this panel session, getting questions and coming to the end of this webinar. I just have a few questions left and then we call it a day. I wanted to get Perisa, you've been married 10 months. So
yes.
I wanted, Abike said that the first year was the hardest for her. I want to know, she's now your mentor. So I want to know, how has this 10 months been and what are your tips on preparing for marriage?
Guys, I'm going to be totally honest. The first 10 months has been incredible. I can't begin to say how blessed we are. And in terms of the tips are, just be intentional. Be intentional in dating each other. Be intentional in loving each other. Because every day I wake up and I said, you know, how can I love this man even more? And you wake up and you'll say, what can I do today to make you happy? What can I do to make you happier? And it's just having that intention that we are going to have the best marriage, regardless of what's going on, regardless of whatever the circumstances look like. And from the moment we started courting, we were very intentional in where we want to go, and goal setting. We ensured that we set goals together, and that's the intention behind it. And the second is throw all the preconceptions out the window. You may grow up in an environment, because for example, I grew up thinking, yes, I'm going to be the cook, I'm going to clean, I'm going to do the laundry, I'm going to do everything. And I've learned is that whoever is better at doing that thing, they should do it. And I'm going to hold my hands up. I love to cook, but my husband is a better cook than I am, and he does the cooking. So it's a matter of throwing out all these preconception of you are your own marriage goals. You make your marriage what it is. It's okay to look up to other people, but you can never say, I want my marriage to be like so-and-so, because your marriage will not be like that. And it will be your own downfall when you try to shape your marriage into someone, you try to fit yourself into someone else's marriage. And that's literally what we had to do. We pretty much, when we got married, what does a 10 out of 10 marriage look like to us? And to be honest, we have this thing called marriage checkup, whereas at the end of not end of every month, but every so often, we have a marriage checkup in different areas. Babe, how do you feel about this area? Is there anything that I need to do to work on? What can you work on? And it's just, and you know what? We give each other scores. Okay, how do you feel in terms of intimacy? How how do you feel in terms of intimacy? How do you feel in terms of, do I support your dreams enough? Do I? And every time, our scores are always very similar. And it's not that we are pretty much rating each other for the hell of it. We're doing that because we want to ensure that we're on the same page. And the most thing is, just be intentional. I wake up every day and said, you know what, I'm going to be the best wife I possibly can. I may not be the most perfect person, but I want to be the perfect person for my husband. And that's how it is. The first 10 months has been incredible. We just have to thank God for this.
And just going to quickly go to Dami before I close it up. Do you want to add anything? You've been married how many months now? Do you want to add anything to that?
And but let me say, while I was about to be married, I had expectations because I was worried. I was like, how is it going to be like? What's it going to look like? How am I going to get past this? How am I going to make it work and everything? But one thing I realized the moment I got into the marriage was that no rules, just leave.
Yeah.
No rules, just live each day in your marriage. Once you wake up today, if you have the higher authority that you believe in, that's God for me. Just believe in what God says about marriage. What's God's intention about marriage? What's God saying about the situation at hand? Just live every day. You know, people would say marriage is hard, marriage is hard, marriage is hard. But then life in itself is hard. And how have I been living life as hard as it can be? God has been directing me. God has been leading me. God has been helping me through. So I believe the same God can help me through marriage. And then that has really been the perfect resolution for me about marriage. No rules, just live. Just keep living each day. No rules.
Okay, so I'm just going to go through the questions at the moment. I'm just trying to see. Can you guys send in your questions? Because we're coming to a close now and I want to take questions. So please send in your questions. While we're waiting for questions, again, please raise your hand if you want to come on and ask any questions like we did beforehand, and I would permit your video sharing. Let's just go around the panelists and just get advice. So let's keep you on, Dami. What is your advice to brides who are thinking of planning a wedding in this season? They don't want to postpone. What would be your top advice to them?
Okay, if you don't want to postpone and then you want to have your wedding now, I think the best thing is just follow the rules, follow the precautions, the COVID guidelines.
Yeah.
I think right now there are no specific guidelines because I think they differ in different states. So just follow the guideline where you are and then make your wedding as intimate as possible. Like cut down the guest size.
Yeah.
Who are supposed to be there? Like who are the people you really need in your wedding? And I think those are the people that are supposed to be there at this time. Basically your parents, your close friends, people who know you, people who are happy for you, and that is it.
Okay. I love that. Thank you so much, Dami. I'm going to go to you, Fatima. What is your advice to brides who are uncertain? They've postponed once, they're postponing again, they're not sure, you know, and from the panel session today, you know, saying, oh, destination weddings might not come back to April, or weddings might not come back as they're supposed to come back that quickly. What is your advice to brides going through it at the moment?
My best advice is to just initially think about why you're on this journey, because sometimes you just get distracted. Like, oh, I want my wedding to be a certain type of way. If you know this is a man that you love, do whatever it takes. Just like Parisa said, do whatever it takes. You love him that much. Stay strong within that faith. Keep God first, because no matter what, if you have your wedding today or tomorrow, that person is still going to be there. That's it. Nobody else matters. Not the wedding, not your family, not your friends. God and your husband. That's it. Keep that circle strong. And you guys will be great.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And I'm going to go to Phoebe. What is your advice for brides at the moment in this pandemic season, planning their wedding, but at the same time wanting to plan for their marriage? You might have touched on this as well, but just your parting last advice.
Okay, so so many things, Laura, and I think I'll probably have to give a copy of my book to everyone. Hopefully we can discuss that. But what I would say is do you, but not at the detriment of every other person around you, like your husband's family and your husband, but ensure that you have a nice time. You know, we've watched our wedding videos a number of times and we're so happy, even though my husband didn't want that large crowd, but he still felt, you know, so happy that we had everything that we did. So I must have done something right? To make sure that I must have done something right in the planning search. So I think you should just try to do that as well. You know, don't make anyone angry. I saw a question about your I think someone's husband's family not wanting something and that, you know, try to balance as many things as you can. And then secondly, don't break the bank. Yeah, so I had a big wedding, 1,000 guests, 8 artists, 8 dresses. We were just all over the place, but I can tell you that I didn't break the bank. So don't break the bank. After the wedding, just like from 12 a.m. that day, your marriage starts. Yeah. I remember my first shopping. I put the picture of when I went for my first shopping in my book, and the receipt was, I had to wear it like a sash. Like it was from my shoulder to my waist. That's that's how long the receipt was, you know. So there'll be a lot of expenses after the wedding. Try to prioritize those things. I recommended in my book to save 30% of your wedding budget for the actual first set of expenses in your marriage. So that's what I would say. Don't break the bank and try to enjoy yourself. Also prioritize things that you want. So for us, we prioritize 3 things: music, food, and photography. Every other thing, my flowers, I think I bought it from one market. I don't even remember. Other things, you know, different brides and different things. But music, you know, we spent a lot on music, we spent a lot on food, and we spent a lot on photography. So know what you're going to spend a lot on, and the rest, you know, just get over it so that you can save your money. Yeah, so that's what.
And for marriage, tips on preparing for marriage in this season?
For marriage tips, I would say don't, just make sure that you just lean on God, because I can give you marriage tips, you know, but that's from my own marriage. Like I said, different marriages are different, but there's one thing that is the same for everyone, is God, you know. If you're able to lean on God, God would advise you on specific things. But for the first year of marriage, which is almost like the honeymoon stage, you know, make sure you have fun, be open, communicate with your partner in the right way, not aggressively. When you want something, when you don't want something, communicate. Always make sure that it's fun, you know. For us, we have one thing that stands in our house, and that's peace. Peace is our vision. When we say what's our vision, with peace, you know, and then with peace comes a lot of things as well. So there's very little arguments here and there. We see how we manage ourselves. So you also have one thing that you can prioritize with you and your husband, that okay, in our marriage, this is our vision, this is our purpose, this is what we are trying to achieve. You know, we're not just married because hey, we're man and woman. Yeah. There must be something that you're trying to achieve. So that's what I would say.
Okay, I love that. Thank you so much, Phoebe. Last but certainly not the least, I'm going to go to Parisa. What is your advice to brides in this season who are, you've touched on intimate weddings, but what do you want to add as your parting advice to brides in this season, planning to have an intimate wedding, planning to slash their guest list down, and planning for their first year of marriage? You're still on mute.
What? Almost done, and I still haven't got this. What I would say, even to brides to be that also have to postpone their weddings, I want to touch on that, is remember, not to sound cliche, but remember that love is patient. And as Fatima said, that is the person for you. So it doesn't matter. I know the excitement of it, and you want to do it now and you're eager, but that person is for you, whether you do it now or whether you do it next year. That person is for a lifestyle. Because remember, your marriage is just for a day. Sorry, your wedding is just for a day, and your marriage is for a complete lifetime. So just always keep that at the back of your mind, and also just enjoy this process and don't live too much into the future, because whenever we live into the future, we keep letting the days pass us by. So just enjoy every moment as it comes. Don't think, oh, when we get married, oh, when we get married, we're going to do this. Oh, when we get married, we're going to do this. So it's just be present. Be very present in this moment and take this time to get to know each other even more, because marriage is going to be so much sweeter. No surprises. Oh boy, I didn't know that about you. You know, just take this time to really get to know each other, and just, you know, and be present for each other. I think that would be the most important thing for me during this stage. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you so much. I think there's just 2 questions in Q&A. And what I'm going to do is, while I ask the questions and when we're answering it, I'm going to go through all the participants, as many as I can, and I'm going to permit you to add your video, because I want to take a quick screenshot with everyone, as much people as we can. So if you're okay to add your video, that's fine. If not, then your name can show. So while I'm doing that, I'm just going to ask questions. So Dami, someone asked, my question is, what steps did you take to avoid fights and arguments amongst your families when you decided to go ahead with the wedding?
Okay, when the wedding got postponed, they weren't happy about it. They were actually giving suggestions how, because the wedding was postponed just a week after the outbreak.
Yeah.
So it was pretty close, and then they were like, can't you just have it? Can't you just get away with it and everything? So we had to tell them, myself and my fiancé at the time, we told them we don't want to take any risk, because we didn't know what turn this outbreak was going to take here in Nigeria. So we told them to just calm down. When it is time, we'll let them know. So it was like everyone was ready. Everyone was prepared. Both parents, they were ready. Everybody was ready. They were just waiting for us to tell them it's time. I mean, we already paid the caterers, we already paid all of our vendors because it was just a week. The wedding was supposed to happen on Friday. The outbreak came serious on Monday. So everything was prepared. We just told all the vendors to just hold on. And when it was time, we told them, I think we had 2 weeks to consider everything we needed to do. We had 2 weeks to go back to the planning. And we told our parents, we told people that really needed to be there. And that was it.
All right, thank you. I think there's one more question. Sorry, if you guys know what's happening, I'm adding you as a panelist so that you can put on your video if you wish to. I just want to take a quick picture so we can just have this on record for our Bridal Brunch Summit. I'm just going to take the last question and we'll take the picture quickly. I think there's another question. 1 second. I think someone asked a question on financial planning during weddings. What would you advise brides on a budget, considering the price of most things? So outfits, food, planners, etc. Who wants to take that?
I can take that.
Yeah, okay.
In terms of, I think it's just a matter of prioritizing what's really important to you. For example, if you're on a budget, just pick maybe 5 things that is your thing. For example, with my husband and I, our thing was the quality of venue, the flowers, and the food. That was our so whatever falls underneath, we were able to compromise. Just for example, my wedding dress, guys, despite the budget we had, my wedding dress was £90 because that is something that I felt great in it, because when it comes to wedding dress, I just tried it on, and as long as you feel great in it, I felt like a complete queen. I felt so elegant. I felt, guys, and you know what? It's because of outside perception. I hold on to it for a long time because I said I need to do the whole bridal shopping. I need to do everything. But then I said, you know what? Forget it. If I feel good in it, I'm going to wear it. Yeah. So my dress was £90. So in terms of when you are budgeting, I would say the most important step is just make a list of about top 3 things that you do not want to compromise on. Budget around those things, and then everything else falls under. The other things, not a second, it's not necessarily a second thought, but yeah, those things you're willing to just pay less money on.
Okay, thank you so much, Carissa. So if you want to turn on your videos, please can you do that now? Well, we've already come to the end of this session. Thank you so much to all the lovely speakers. It's been amazing. It's been value-packed. I'm seeing your videos. Please, no matter what condition you're on, put your videos on. I want to see you, please.
I will call him now, Seth. Now that
can you mute yourself, please?
About him, I'll call him today.
Can you mute yourselves, please? Thank you. Yes, I'm seeing the videos come on. Please, put on your videos. Thank you. Put on your videos. I just want to quickly take a picture. I just want a couple of people to put on your videos, and I'll quickly take a picture. So thank you so much. For this has been value packed, honestly. I've seen some people close their face. You guys look all beautiful, makeup or not, so I'm loving it. Thank you guys so much. Please put on your videos. Thank you. A video came on and went off. Who's this? Mayowa? I saw your video. Come on. I saw you on. All right, so I'm gonna take a quick picture, guys. You can have any So thank you guys so much for coming for this Bridal Brunch Summit. Some people's videos are still coming on. Thank you so much. So I want to say all the panelists, they have their handles. You can go to their handles. You can ask them any questions. Please nod. If you have any more questions on marriage, wedding planning, COVID, anything, postponing your wedding, please reach out to them. You can send them a message through the contact details on their Instagram, and they'll be happy to help you guys. Thank you so much for coming to this session. It has been recorded, so if you want a recording, please let us know at hello@getweddingready.co.uk or DM me or my team on Get Wedding Ready, and we'll have the video session for you. I love seeing your lovely faces. Thank you guys so much. We'd love feedback, so if you can send us feedback via DM, that would be great. We'd love to know how to make this session a lot better for future brides. The Bridal Brunch, I want to say, is definitely coming to a city near you. So post-COVID, we're looking to expand and come to individual cities. So if you want your city to be a part of it, send us an email as well or DM us. Thank you again so much. It's been amazing. Someone says New York. I love it. New York, we're coming. Definitely. We're coming to New York. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Let the social media, someone said if our questions were not answered, who to specifically send them to. Just send them to the panel and the panelists, whatever the question is about, or send them to us. DM me any questions if you don't know who to pose it to, and I'll get them answered. I'm sorry about that. We just went, we ran over time, so I couldn't get all the questions. Thank you for all the feedback. Thank you so much. And yeah, send us feedback. Let us know what to do better. Let us know where to come, what city you'd like us to come to. And yeah, thank you so much, guys. Can I get a big wave? Thank you so much. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day, guys. Bye. Thank you for staying on this long.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Have a lovely evening. Bye.